certain expenditures. Well, we have provided them with proof of everything they've requested in their January 20th letter. The only item that is outstanding was the amount that we did not spend, and that we therefore have to return to them. And that amount is $1,164.90. And this, money is for grant number 10-203497. We had a deadline of today to return that. I sent them an email last Wednesday, I believe, last Thursday. After I collected all the other documents, and I requested additional time to send that check. Their only response was that my email was being reviewed. So my suggestion would be, if we have no expenditures that would satisfy this amount, would be for the county board to authorize that payment.
So we're just gonna overnight it today and get it done by tomorrow, or?
Well, we can, yeah, I was gonna just make sure it was sent,
Okay.
One way or another.
So,
Do we need to fill out a claim sheet for that, or how?
I'll leave that up to you, however you wanna handle it, whatever Juanita would need.
We can, and that way there's a paper trail.
Yeah, I kinda think it'd probably be a good idea.
so we don't show any other expenses to,
I didn't find any that would qualify under the grant, and we looked at, there was a 3-year time frame where we could have pulled expenses, and we were able, initially, I think, if you remember, the amount was between $4,000 and $5,000 they were requesting.
Right.
We were able to get that down
Yeah.
to under 1,200.
Yeah. Well, if they don't accept it all, we just have to add some to it. So.
Right. And so far, they've accepted even the additional
Yeah.
we have supplied.
Jason, did you check on that other grant?
yeah,
What did she say?
she would try to help us with it, but
Okay, good.
I'll talk with you a bit later about that. So we need to get a motion made to approve to pay the grant back, reverse it, DCEO grant, correct?
Yes, and it's grant number 10-203497. And the amount, I think, did you have the amount?
Yeah, $1,164.90.
That's correct.
I do so move.
All right, and
Second.
Gerald seconds that, all agree, say aye. That motion passed, so we'll get that taken care of today.
Juanita, when that check is ready, I've got the person it's supposed to be sent to, so if you just want to give me the check, I'll make sure it gets sent.
We'll take care of it.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
You have a good day.
You too.
Thank you.
Drive carefully. Yeah, and stay careful down there.
Yeah, exactly. Not back by this afternoon, send somebody, please.
Send somebody, nothing, I'll come myself. I got you.
Counties he gotta go to?
If you want
No,
to carry
exactly.
her.
Amen.
Pack your eat, brother.
Lori not coming up today?
Well,
Oh,
what's her name, didn't show up.
Sandra?
he was there, but
Yeah,
anyhow.
But she finally showed up, so I brought him up, but we can take him back down there.
All right. All right.
Oh, yeah.
Hi, Juanita.
Fine, how are you?
Okay. Michelle, you've changed.
I know.
Is she okay?
Yeah, she's just out of town.
Okay.
Where are they at on that bridge, do you know?
They were supposed to start setting the deck.
Really?
Yeah, they've
Coming
been
right
letting the
along.
concrete cure. And, so I think that was scheduled to start today. I don't know how quickly all that happened.
It's the cold weather, does that affect any of that stuff, or?
Well, I don't believe this, well, I guess if it's froze hard at night, you know.
They put, can't they put some chemical in there to make that concrete?
Oh,
cure?
yeah, yeah. Yeah, they pour any time now, but Dees. Old, well, older than Dees, but I think he's retired, didn't he? Them
Yeah,
boys are
I
doing
think-
it.
Yeah.
I never did really know him, but I've seen the name a lot.
Was he was pretty old? Was he
Yeah.
Pretty old,
Yeah.
yeah. I think he came around some.
I think he was old, way old
Yeah.
when he quit. Maybe 75 or 80. I don't know.
I wasn't gonna throw a number out there.
Yeah, well, I don't know, he's come in the
Yeah, he's
office a
over
few
me.
times.
Gerald went to school with him, what are you talking about?
A couple of years, you got behind Gerald
Now
in school.
personal now, aren't they, Gerald?
Gerald played ball against him, what are you
Yeah,
talking about?
I never threw the word or the number out.
You see what I'm up again in here.
Yeah, I know,
He's outnumbered,
it's a rough life.
these kids. I know, Joe said he really liked those boys' work.
Yeah, I heard him mention that the other day to somebody.
Yeah.
They took that piece of equipment off that they was gonna redo the bottom of it and all that, is it?
We took it.
It's
Yeah.
been here all along.
Last
Washington,
week,
Indiana.
or 2 weeks ago, wasn't it?
Yeah.
2
She already
weeks
took
ago.
care of it, huh?
Yeah.
Good deal. How long did they say it'd be before it did?
Well, it didn't say, but I wouldn't think very long.
Okay.
But they were gonna check the hydraulic pump also, which, if there's trouble there, they may have to put one on or something.
I haven't heard him say anything about that.
Yeah. It's a pretty good deal, good price on that.
It was, now that bucket, I think it's 14,000, but now that wasn't in that bid,
Oh, okay.
so. I
Yeah, but it
don't know
wasn't in the bid for the new hose either though, was it?
Yeah.
For what?
For the new rigs either.
No,
So
so it was.
that's kinda irrelevant.
Yeah, we're just gonna have to spend it
Yeah.
either way.
Mhm.
That must be, is that normal? That seems like a lot of money for a
That
bucket,
bucket?
yeah, is it?
Well, you know, it's,
It's about as Cadillac bucket as what you can get.
well, that, and, you know, it's not just a regular bucket
Mhm.
that doesn't move this one, but swivels, and it's clamshell, you know, the bottom will open up and grab a tray or something, and
So it does almost
It-
everything,
it did sound high,
It's
but
not normal.
I'm sure there's a lot to it.
yeah.
I don't, in his business, it's good, but as far as I'm concerned, the bucket's small
Mhm.
for some reason. They just don't have much capacity.
That much cubic feet or something
Yeah.
like that.
A yard.
Yeah, but they don't use that bucket to load rock or anything, do they?
Oh, he said if they had a lot to load, they'd put that other one
That's what I'm
on.
gonna say,
The
put the
regular.
dirt bucket on.
Mhm.
Does it take much time to switch those, or is it just?
Oh, about 30 minutes, maybe,
Yeah.
something like that. Or he may have a quick attach
Oh,
on
I'm
there if
sure
he
will.
does, why, 10 minutes.
Yeah.
I've heard that word bandied around, so, but I'm not sure if
Surely
that
they
means
do.
The quick
that one, the
attach.
quick attach.
Yeah, well, okay, yeah, it
So
wouldn't
it may
take,
have it on there.
yeah. I actually haven't looked at it very much. Are you got to work, Jason?
Start back tonight.
I'm at work.
Oh, I thought you were talking about work.
Work here.
Oh. Yeah, I'll start back to work tonight.
Oh, do you?
Have to qualify that statement,
Yeah.
doesn't it? Which word?
That's right.
Well, the cows all happy?
I was just tickled to death. Just tickled to death. Sun shining,
Eating hay, slopping in the mud.
right, right. Are you slowly but surely getting settled in?
Yeah. Trying to,
Yeah.
it's adjustment.
I bet.
With those girls in there, give me such a hard time.
I know. You just can't get good help.
I
can you?
know.
That's what John used to say. Yeah, I shouldn't have said that.
supposed to be in this morning.
Good.
I saw him Saturday with a boat in the back of the
Yeah.
truck.
Imagine that.
Yeah,
That makes them happy and then.
Yeah.
he's doing well. He was in one day last week. And he looks good.
Yeah, last time I seen him, he was looking real good.
Good, I'm happy for him.
Of course, I think sometimes he looks for an excuse because he called up and asked if we wanted some lemons the other day. And of course, we said, well, sure, just bring them on up.
Lemons,
Lemons.
okay.
We told him, you don't have to have an excuse, just stop
Yeah.
by.
It'd be all right.
That's
But it's on this
right.
public building still.
Yeah.
And you're still welcome.
What's the rest of the guys out doing, do you know?
Well, actually, no, cause I come to work at 9 o'clock, so I got there just in time to go in, grab this stuff and get back in the car and leave, so they're on their own.
They was already out. and
Yeah,
back.
they're already out and about, doing their thing.
Those guys, they really do a lot done. Put no more men than they have.
I think they do.
Oh, they do.
They do a good job, and
Yeah,
of course, I'm kinda partial, but
yeah, I mean, their job, work was good. and
a lot of people just don't understand all the
No.
workings of it,
They
you know,
don't.
money-wise, and that's okay too.
What's the reimbursement a mile now, do you know?
Isn't it on there?
Well, that's what I was looking at, I didn't know if that. They said
I
it,
don't remember. 40
40 cents.
cents, yeah.
Guess the work got out, Michelle wasn't here today, nobody, wants to come in. Joe didn't come in, the sheriff,
Hey, I'm glad to see you, JD. Good morning.
I'm glad
I'm
to
not
see
gonna
you.
treat you like Jason.
Yeah.
I'm glad you're here.
I'm treating it good, I'm just saying. the work
Nobody
is-
wants to come in,
Yeah.
everybody's.
I thought they heard Michelle wasn't here.
Everybody
just
comes to see her.
I
Or
don't,
something,
I don't
I
think
don't
it
care.
is, I just
Yeah.
let it roll.
There you go.
Roll right out of it.
You're in the wrong business if you got soft feelings, ain't you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Got the new ride all striped up, ready to go, don't you?
Yeah, it's nice.
Looks good.
It's- No complaints. No.
That's it, isn't it?
That's it.
Thank you for
Thank
coming.
you,
Good,
gentlemen.
thank you.
Have a lovely day.
Oh my gosh, if I didn't come, the guys wouldn't get their checks, and that would not be good.
It'd be
It'd be nasty, huh?
There would be an uprising.
Yeah, we don't want that.
No uprising.
I would be burning at the stake
That's
if
right.
I didn't come, so Thank you all.
Thank you.
You doing all right?
I'm doing great. How you doing?
I'm doing all
All
right.
right, good.
See
Mr.
y'all.
Haverkamp?
Thank you.
How's it going?
Good.
See you later.
Pardon?
No.
I didn't even realize it was a sheriff's sale this morning. I come in and, sorry, Mr. Worthing goes, you hear about sheriff's sale? But I take care of it while I'm here.
Sure, huh?
Just go ahead and get that out of the way, too.
What'd you sell? Are you fixing to sell?
It was a piece of property we have to do the sheriff's sale on it, like a foreclosure or something.
We're gonna do it at 10 o'clock or what?
They did it at 9.
Or did
I
I?
just happened to come over here and I didn't, Ted usually leaves me a note, hey, take care of this, I'm not gonna be in the office. I just happened to stumble into it, so.
You just
What-
can't get out of work,
I
can you?
just, it's,
Follow
here,
the program.
What did it sell for?
the bank bought it back for
Oh,
like
did they?
27,000.
This wasn't Jason's place, was it?
Yeah.
Piece of property, nice here in town,
Yeah. Well, how's things going in the sheriff's department?
running like a Swiss watch,
That's good.
is that what you wanna hear?
Yes.
That's true. I can tell you
We
that,
go with it, huh?
sometimes I tell you the truth, sometimes I tell you what you wanna hear,
That-
that's the truth,
That's
both
the truth.
cases.
That's good.
No, we're doing good. I really don't know how many we got in jail right now, I meant to ask John before I came over here, but.
They've been working on, getting that, is it the equipment or something that they're getting in?
Yeah, they're going for that live scan.
Yeah, I ran into John and some other guy at the Lowe's or Home Depot the other day buying some.
They've been doing some, getting ready to do some rearranging back
Yeah.
in jail, and they've been doing some painting, getting ready to, for a spot for it, so.
What's that machine, or what's, you really, I don't know what that is.
It's, rather than rolling your fingers in the ink, it's a.
It's kinda like a copy machine,
Kind
kinda,
of, more or less, a really, really.
very
good,
detailed, yeah.
Yeah, and then plus, if I'm not mistaken, it's linked in and you can, those will go straight either like Springfield,
I
Joliet.
think that's
or-
what they said it,
to-
or
yeah.
wherever the database is.
Yeah.
Listen, no horseplay on the new copy machine.
Yeah, I don't think that'll happen. I think we've looked into that, or more than once, you know, in the past, and it was always like,
Really expensive.
yeah.
I think now we're getting an opportunity to be,
Like 20, I mean, if you had to buy it, it's 20 or 25 grand, wasn't it, for that
It's pretty-
machine?
it's pretty-
and now we're
Plus
getting,
a subscription.
now we're getting it given to us,
Yes,
to use, so
yes.
that's good.
I think in the past, the closest one around here for us to use in Illinois was like Williamson County, I think was the closest, I think they had it. But McCracken's got one over there in their jail system. It's pretty state of the art stuff, so.
When do you think we'll get it, a month or two?
Yeah, I think so, it's last I heard. Probably come in around the same time that Tahoe gets here. So, I was talking to Josh about it a while ago, he's anxious for it to show up. Me too.
I mean, he's like a kid at Christmas right now, isn't he?
That's
Unbelievable, isn't it?
that's a good find. You know, he did his homework on
Think,
that.
Did I read Williamson County or another county's getting one and a dog, cause their dog,
Pulaski, I think.
okay, maybe that's what it was.
Well,
One of them had a dog that was,
that's Johnson County, it's gonna get,
okay.
they're gonna get the vehicle and canine, if I'm not mistaken, he told me that the other day. And I think Pulaski's getting a vehicle. But, Mr. Buffett's
Pretty fine.
oh yeah, he's nice he can do that.
Yes. It's nice that he gives back like a lot, some people don't. So, he should have that, I'd say, in 2 months or less.
Should have.
Hey, what-
Equipment's already starting to kind of trickle in for it.
What'd the vehicle bring, do you know? Here, wasn't that a Suburban or a Tahoe?
That red,
Yeah,
650. And there wasn't anybody there, there was one guy there that bid on it, and if there'd been more, it was, it should've went for more than that.
I think
But
so.
That was a salvage value on it that we could've got from,
somebody. So
Yep.
that-
yeah,
Oh, well.
What model was that, Judge? I can't remember. 98?
98 or 99,
Somewhere in
I can't
there.
remember exactly what was on that. Yeah. But it had 200,
Yeah.
over 200,000 miles
Oh,
on
did
it.
it?
Yeah.
Maybe a good old truck though, for someone.
Oh, yeah, I mean, the thing with it is, beat the fire out of it, and if it dies, you tow it in there and haul for scrap, you know?
Yeah,
You
you
ain't-
still get your money out of
Yeah.
it more or less. It had, shoot, it had, probably $400 with tires on it. It had good tires on it. We didn't put them on there,
Yeah.
I mean, it just happened to have good tires on it when we got it.
And don't you have a pickup that Tim would've fit?
Now, I never checked.
You don't have to pay attention to your surroundings.
I should. That's about that.
Well, we appreciate it, unless you got anything in it.
No, sir, I'm good.
Anybody breaking into anything lately, or?
Don't even, why didn't you mention that? See?
Well, I just wondered.
We've been in pretty good shape. We had a guy come in a week or so ago, I took a report from him. He had a bunch of steel metal posts taken and some wire and a couple other things like that, and it was out in the county, and it actually was up on Mount Mission Road, if I'm not, or Macedonia Church Road, I can't remember which one it was.
That direction.
Yeah. But it had been 2 or 3 weeks since he'd been out there to even check
So
on it,
no
and he had no
telling where,
idea.
yeah.
And they were used posts, I mean, they weren't like brand new posts, it's like, I'm not gonna sit here and promise you we're gonna find your stuff. It's-
No, I'd say it's in a scrap yard
it was,
somewhere.
You know, he had 3 rolls of used barbed wire, just rolled up, you know how you do, when you take it off the fence, you know, where it's
Yeah.
rolled up, it's like, you never gonna get, even if you find that stuff, you can't ID it, make sure.
No,
But anyway, that's the most recent thing that I can, as far as the theft wise.
There was something, wasn't it, like,
Not a whole lot.
months ago, some kind of like, use a tractor. or-
Yeah, that's when they backed
Yeah.
up to that empty house.
That's down to
That's his
my road.
neighbor.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's strange. You get that solved, or?
We haven't closed it, we got some suspects on it, we haven't closed it yet.
Still watching that, watch the area.
Yeah, pretty much. Fellas?
Have a good day.
okay, thank you,
See
David.
y'all later.
Yeah.
His bill list wasn't very long, was it?
No. Wish it was smaller though.
Yeah.
It's up a little bit though, so.
It's 12,000 now, it was down like
Yeah.
5 or 6 the last
Yeah.
few. Michelle usually gives us some good gossip. You got anything?
You know what? She said, be expecting Jeff to ask for some gossip.
So you've been warned, you ought to have a good story.
But I don't have anything.
How in the world you work in the news industry and you got nothing
Well,
on?
prefer to remain objective.
How many more ball games are there, Jason?
We play this Friday night at home, I believe. Next weekend, we play Friday and Saturday. That's 3. There's 5 games left. There might be a game in the middle of the week sometime. There's 5 games left.
Who won that tournament out there? Tim?
No, Tillman, yeah, Tillman won. They beat Graves County, or they beat Callaway. I didn't go to the game, championship game, but
I
Tillman.
wonder how Charleston, Missouri did.
They beat us. They maybe finished 3rd or 4th. I don't know which one they finished.
See, when I was in school, they didn't play all that far out, you know, just around here local.
Did you go this weekend?
Yes. close and just not finished. How much taller is Noah than you?
I'd say probably 4 inches or more.
I knew he was taller, but I didn't know how tall. He done growing?
I would think he would be, I don't know. His legs hurt him a lot now, I don't know if he's sort of growing a little bit. He's, I think I get shorter as I get older. I
Could
feel like I
be.
do. I don't know, I feel like my mom does, I feel like before long I'm like, just over and over.
How old's your mother?
74,
Same age my mom.
yeah, be 75 this year. Born 1940.
So is my mom.
Yeah.
Imagine that.
So,
How about that?
she live around here?
Yeah.
Did she?
Yeah, all her life. Raised up in the house I now live in. My grandparents built that house
Oh, did they?
with war bonds back in 1948.
Yeah, my mom still lives in the house she lived, I was raised in. Did your mother get around pretty good?
No,
She didn't.
her knees give her a lot of trouble.
My mom does too, I monitor her all the time, but she gets some type of, surgery, but she goes and sees a chiropractor
Mm-hmm.
about 2 or 3 days a week.
Yeah.
And it really helps her.
Yeah.
I think he stretches her out and does all that stuff. She calls it not chiropractor, she always calls it something else. Her workout or something.
Oh,
So, well, sure, I gotta go to my workout, I have to call you back.
so my mother calls it getting beat up.
It can feel like that sometimes.
But my dad's only 6 months younger than my mother, and he gets around great.
Yeah, my dad got that too. There's one more in 1940.
My dad was from Kentucky, of course, my dad's from Kentucky, so. But yeah, I said if there was one thing I learned from my parents, it was don't sit down. Because I see what happened to mama. She did, and daddy didn't.
Yeah, I can see that too, Mom. She just piddles, she don't really get out of bed.
Yeah.
Gerald, how old was your mother when she passed away?
98.
I think she was awful.
Yeah.
She lived a long
My
life.
dad was 51.
Was that right?
It's much heavy.
Yeah. Did you ever smoke?
Me?
Yeah.
About 2 years. And, I think I started in 69. I could tell after 2 years they was hurting me, so I just quit.
That's good.
I was thumbing through this budget, Jason, I had a few questions.
Okay.
Just something I didn't understand, but obviously that looked good there.
You know that Metropolis drugs, that inmates beds, that's most time the inmates that were from out of the county, I thought we usually got a separate bill,
Well, they was running, they run all of them through the, Medicare now, or?
In the past, sometimes, like, the total bill is 702.19 on this. Sometimes it'd be broke down to where like Johnson County, other
Yeah.
counties, they would be responsible for their inmates.
I think they are.
Maybe we separate the billing now.
Yeah. Did they send this over, or did you, how's
No, I
this?
guess he brought it now.
Okay.
It's JD brought it in with
Cause I mean, we weren't paying for them and getting reimbursed, you know, we just put it on them.
We had to pay all that, we wouldn't make nothing, you know. It's too cheap as it is.
I'm gonna ask Sandy how on that before I ask her. 'Cause we did have, what do you say, 10 in there, it's gonna be there for a while?
But that's right. Holds 40.
Yeah, there was 10 though that were, I think were serving like a couple months sentencing. Paying customers, you know, then there was
Yeah.
other ones. I think he told us a week or two ago. We sent that letter to him then?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, got nothing back yet. Gerald, on that budget, once you ask Jeff, maybe he can help you, right?
Well, I come in and found one day.
Okay. So he has some questions. Okay, here's the one.
Anybody heard any feedback on this GIS deal?
I have not.
Up in
I
this
think
fee?
I think he's coming in today.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I know John, we're still, I think Johnson County's $75.
We're 10, even if we do this, we'll be 10 less than them, right?
Correct. Yeah.
I think they're the highest for, aren't they? Johnson's
I know.
highest.
Around this. And then, was it Michelle that had a question on the GIS? She had a question on something that she texted me the other day. About, what's it called,
I don't recall. Actually, I think it was an
Yeah.
email,
it was an email.
cause she copied me on it and you said to ask Patrick, but I don't remember what the question.
Patrick sent me a text on it.
Let's take the whole project.
And-
I think so, as far as
I think I did. And so there's no euthanization expense.
I don't know if he sent it to her or not, but he sent it
Yes,
to the text.
I'm not sure.
I can tell you what he said if you want to hear it.
What was her question?
What was her question?
Yeah, hold on, I found it.
Okay. Everything's fine, but it was just, she had a question on it.
Okay, what did he say?
'Cause I asked him yesterday, so the law requires the county have the cost study done. It's not required that it be requested by any particular office.
Okay,
So the one that performed at Gary's request would be sufficient, so long as it took consideration of the cost of the recording, performing services by the county clerk. He said it should be fine.
thank you.
I really feel like we have a ton of claims to sign today.
You about to wear your hand out? Huh?
Goodness.
First of the month.
My goodness.
What was your issues with CIC this week? Same old song and dance on the payroll, or?
Well, had to manually change the check numbers every time we did part of the payroll. And she is going through the way they said to go through. And it still wasn't changing the numbers. But the first part of the payroll, everything was perfect. and she went to print them, and an error message came up, and it was a programming thing. Something about JJ doing something, and we had to wait till she got done before we could.
I thought this time when you did it, they was gonna shadow you within the system
No, that's next week,
next, or next time.
next time, yes.
Okay. Then when we talked to them, they said
Yeah.
they could, you know, be in the system shadow you, see if it was, you know, something they recognize.
Be nice if they just maybe find something wrong
Yeah,
Well, I mean, we gave
I mean,
them,
you hate to say that, but
Yeah.
about like an electrical problem on a vehicle.
you know, I think gave them some bullets for them to look into, and that's why we're, you know, we're gonna follow up, try to do a follow-up every week with them, and just keep addressing the issues, you know, try to get it accomplished. You know, cause Juanita and Dana had I don't know, a laundry list of things that they wanted them to look into. So they're doing that over this past week. And then we'll talk to them today and see what we got accomplished, and we'll set up a time, you know, a week or two later, try to keep attacking these issues and get them worked out, you know. You know, we think, you know, Jeff, we think a lot of it's, software issues. They just gotta get these bugs lined out, you know. And then sometimes they think it's, operator issue, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's just trying to communicate and work together. I think, you know, over the last year or so or less, we just haven't kept that dialogue open, I guess, both ways. And, you know, I think their issue was, you know, they would call and have a problem, and then they're assigned to, you know, let's say a complaint number or something. Well, then you talk to, you know, Joe one day, and the next one day it's Sue calls you, but she don't know what Joe's done with you, and then you kinda start fresh over with somebody else, and,
or they
And that
call you,
restarts your clock.
yeah. And they-
yeah, or they call you, like you said, restart the clock, somebody calls and say, oh, I can't help you with that, I'm gonna have to turn it over to so-and-so,
Yeah.
and so it goes, you know.
And, this way, I think, you know, we got a lot of the management team that we're talking to on a weekly basis now. And, you know,
That's why I asked last week who owns the company.
yeah.
You're gonna have to pull my old line out. My hired man, he knows when I'm getting good,
Do it now.
good and hot.
Yeah.
When I call somebody and tell them I wanna speak to the man who's got his name on the mortgage, that's who I wanna talk to.
Yeah. Good.
Well, at one point, they sent a lady that, Debbie Trahan, who is supposedly like second in command, and she straightened everything out over there in payroll, and like I said, then they did an update, everything went back the same way it was.
Thank you kindly.
Keith, how are
Tell me
you?
something good.
Pretty good.
Now, you have to,
It's all good.
I mean, you don't have to sprint out here so quick.
Well, hey, you guys are busy, man.
Okay.
Not that much.
Did you send the police down there to talk to Jenny,
They're down there now.
To talk to who?
Jenny Dunning?
What's going
They're
on?
down there now.
Stole all my papers down there.
What?
So I was caught red-handed.
You better be careful, she might throw one through your windshield.
Probably would.
You guys see anything?
No.
We're good.
No.
Yeah, nobody come over here and talk to us today. Michelle out here, I guess.
I'm gonna scare people away.
You must. Hey, boy, I can't see you. They won't even sit down.
Got to get on the road.
Afraid the picture's gonna be in the front of the paper.
Patrick don't know what to do with himself with no big
Now,
knock on wood, there hadn't been no murders or anything lately.
no,
I wish they get that
I
thing
think, is
in.
that,
Englehart guy taken care of and sent off to,
is he still up there?
as far as I know, he's right across the street, isn't he?
I don't know.
I think it's still there.
My
Several
gosh,
years,
it's been a long
5
time.
years.
And he's up on a whole lot of serious crap.
Escape and everything else.
I think Ben's mom and them's at trial again, up the road or wherever you.
They in Franklin County or somewhere, or?
I don't know where they're at. I
They
know-
moved the trial, right?
Yeah. I don't know where, but I know he's off work. In case, you know, he gets called.
Yeah.
He got to work that
He's
out.
milking it, ain't
Oh,
he?
my goodness. Yeah, he knows
Yeah.
how to do it. Yeah, just in case if they need his testimony.
Just in case.
I forgot where he said they moved it to. Wonder why they had to do that, cause they had 2 mistrials there, is that why?
Have they had two?
Yeah, but that was their second one, yeah.
Was her attorneys feeling like it was, the jury was biased, or not biased, but too familiar or something?
I don't know why they just have to get to agreement or something.
The reason that report looks different is because that's the one she had problems with.
I wasn't even gonna ask.
I know.
It looks funky, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Different font.
That's what I was like, I kept looking like,
Different, totally different report, but that's the only one she could get print off.
I had some, it's like the Ires, what would they all say, like 80 or something, you know what I mean? Like,
Who?
well, just different ones, like, I mean, I understand hers probably don't have to. Like hers, I wonder why it says under Ires too. Like, you know, her, Judy, shows 80,
I don't know, because it's put in there as 80.
you know, I don't know why. You know, some show different numbers, but still show the gross, you know, as if they
Well,
worked
there's,
80.
because they're salary.
Yeah. I don't know, we can ask today.
I don't wanna hear the weather, I wanna see the weather.
What are you doing this time of year? Or,
Me?
Yeah.
Making laps. I'm glad to have all that grain, but it
T.O.,
kinda gets old trucking every day.
we're still online there.
Yeah.
Okay. I was gonna say something to you. I'll wait.
I can turn it off.
Huh?
I gave you 3 copies of that, Juanita.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I didn't mean to, but I think I gave it to you guys last week. That's that CPI from last. That's what it's gonna be next year, which is 0.8%, which is not much. Anyway, I get that information and I just forward it when I get it.
Hey, Gary.
Don't forget.
They're early, do we need to say one?
Yeah, let's,
Hey, Dana,
you can, let's go ahead if y'all want.
Yeah, they're gonna need about 5 or 10 minutes to set up
Oh.
as well.
And we can go ahead,
well,
and
maybe that works, maybe.
if you want, we'll go ahead and,
First Tuesday of the month.
look at the, amended rate for recording. Dave, we go ahead and get that passed. Y'all have a copy of that, everyone should.
Yeah.
Okay. You, anyone have any questions over it? Based on what we was doing, it was, gonna raise that up to, currently it's,
65.
yeah, currently it's 55, we're gonna go to 65. And, 35 of it will be going to GIS, and 10 of it will be going to the county clerk, correct? Okay. And, so,
We're going from 8 to 10 for a county clerk, right?
yes, and from 27, the GIS currently to 35. So,
Some of these counties that are less, are they, how are they making their revenue as far as?
Everybody knows how Pulaski County's doing it.
Yeah,
I mean, they all have their different ways of funding things.
I didn't know about.
Like I said, I've seen this, you know, I've seen these different amounts all over, and the split's different. So there's no real reason. I just think, you know, again, I'm trying to keep this technology ahead of the game, because eventually, even though it's not required now, some things are, but we're gonna have to have everything online. And there's some things like websites and stuff, you know, this stuff is all supposed to be out there.
you know, the GIS mapping's been a great tool for us. I mean, I don't know if you know exactly how much property you picked up from the last.
Well,
mapping.
I'm still picking stuff up. That's why I haven't published that, because I'm looking probably in about 3 weeks, because I'm still trying to get some, there was like 75 properties that were changed by more than 75%, which means in some cases, they.
Demolished or built on, or doubled.
Or doubled in size, or built, you know, the biggest thing I've been finding is these machine sheds, you know, that, you know, and they vary in value, but every little bit, you know, makes a difference.
And last time we did the GIS mapping, what was the cost? We went for the counties per half.
I think it was 50,000, or total it was 50,000, so, but that was all split up into 3-year payments as well as with this flyover.
Which we split the cost with the 911
Right.
board
In
and
the
the city
city.
metropolis.
Are we paid all up on that then?
Just about.
That's what I was gonna say, you should have had all your, I was thinking,
Well, I got hit double because I did the change finder, which was 7,000, which was a net expense. But one of the things that I had that really dipped into that GIS was I had several mapping issues that I had to address. And I knew that these were problems that I needed to address, and that's why I kind of was saying all along, I need to increase this fee, because I've dropped the account $30,000 in 1 year.
And also, I mean, this will help the county clerk's office as well, you know, to help with revenue and stuff. And it looks like, instruments-wise, going to the county clerk's office, we're averaging about 150 a month. I don't know if that's a number that we looked at, I don't know. That sounds right to you or not?
Yeah, it varies.
It varies.
She had 30 alone Friday.
Did she? So,
is that because of, tax sales or anything, or?
Oh, no, that's just recording. They don't have
They
anything
just-
to do with tax sales or anything.
but anyway, I think it's, you know, it will help and generate some well-needed money, and I think we're still, you know, competitive with other counties. So,
How much is in GIS now? Any idea?
68,000. When I started here, it was 125, and then it's been holding around 90 until this year.
Hopefully, we don't take no more $30,000 whacks.
Well, no,
we
exactly,
should
and
be
that's
caught up
why,
for a while.
again, that's why, and again, I'm trying to anticipate situations in the future as well, because we don't know whether everybody's gonna go along with the, you know, flyover in the future. I don't know. You know, again, I'm not trying to fund the whole thing, I'm not trying to say we need one right away in 4 years, but, you know, I know a county that had one in 10 years, and, you know, it's just, you know.
We had not, you saying?
No,
It's been several years since we had one.
I think we have one every 4 or 5 years.
In '09 was the
Okay, I
last
was
one,
thinking it
and then
was
at the end of
that.
'13 was when we had this one. But,
And maybe before that, it's been a while, I don't remember what's
Right.
happening. Do you know, Jerry?
I think it was in '03, I think, if I remember right. So that was about 6 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're looking at about 2020. Curry backlash over that,
Over
over this?
proposal, no, I haven't, nobody said
Have
anything,
you?
but
Yes.
nobody's ever gonna be happy.
Oh,
That's what I
But-
figured.
they're all,
But again, I want you to understand that that P-TAX 203 form is what creates a lot of my mapping problems and my mapping work. So why not let that pay for that part of my office?
but the P-TAX is gonna go on the web before long.
What do you mean?
I mean, the revenue stamps is gonna be electronically.
Well, that's what they're
And
proposing, and I'm not
yeah.
sure how that's going to change the charge. You still gotta record it, still has to be recorded.
Yeah, but it will be electronically, so it won't be, like you've gotta shuffle the papers anymore.
But you surely would have to establish the fee with the state though, wouldn't you? I mean, I don't know.
It's really new, but, yeah, everybody's gonna have to go that way. I mean, they're.
Right.
It's
That
gonna
My
have to be
Deck?
done. But it's, yeah, the My Deck.
Right.
And, but yeah, it's to eliminate the paperwork.
That should save your office some money, shouldn't it? To eliminate some of this paper? As
No,
far-
because we still gotta pay for the revenue stamps. And that's paperwork that we shift down to them. But yeah, it would save a little bit, but it ain't that much for
I
us.
think really what Jeff, what it really saves is the state,
Yeah,
and the aggravation that they can't.
because they're electronic.
They're not gonna be able to
stamps.
produce the equipment to fix these stamps that they're generating these stamps from now. So I think it's really an issue more with the state, from what I understand, and again, I'm not pretending to be an expert here, Juanita, at all.
I'm not either, cause like I say, it's all new.
It is, but it's coming.
It's coming, yes.
It's all coming, but exactly how it's gonna affect everybody's office is hard to say. Because again, Jeff, like in my situation, it may help me out tremendously too, because we have to go back and a lot of these deeds that are recorded, they've got incorrect deeds or incorrect stuff, we have to send back, and I may not have to because they may not accept it through the system if it's not done properly. So it'll be a trial and error thing to see how this thing,
Well, the way I understand the MIDAC is just to do with revenue stamps, not
I know.
anything else. so.
but again, that's,
And no, it will not catch mistakes.
it will,
That was one
it
of
will
the
on the
questions.
P-TAX forms.
Well, no, it won't,
Really?
no.
You're kidding me.
That was one of the questions that was raised at the conference I was in. If it's put in at a certain amount and it's an error on, say, for instance, the attorney's office or on my office, then who picks up the bill for the error? And that's something they couldn't answer yet,
Interesting.
yeah.
Because like I said,
Well, I'd say
Mike,
probably,
I'd say the attorney's office.
well, yeah, I was gonna say whoever created the error, but that's still gonna be tough to collect from attorney's office, isn't it?
Well, if they're using that system,
Depends.
they're gonna have
Yeah.
to. It'll be interesting. We're still, I gotta guess we're still a couple years away, aren't we, Juanita, or maybe not?
No, they're talking about they're wanting it by the end of this year.
Really?
But like I say, they got a lot of bugs to work out, so, but that's the route it's going.
And sometimes that takes a lot of time to figure out
Right.
where the good is and where the bad is and how it affects us as well.
Exactly.
But I know, like I said, my biggest challenge, and you guys don't maybe see this, but I get deeds that are incorrect. And it could be just as simple as an NW versus an SW, but that's critical in what we do with
But
our
see, it
mapping.
isn't our job to police them. They come in, they want it recorded, we record it.
Well,
And then if they have a error on that, then they
They
are the
have to
ones, they have to get it corrected
corrected,
and
they have
bring
to
it
do a
back.
corrective deed, which again,
Right,
we get.
exactly.
Well, that should help, if it's online though, won't that help prove them to be at fault with the error? Or am I wrong?
No, not on a deed. They won't see, the state won't see the deed. They only see the P-tax.
Sometimes it's on that P-TAX form though, that deed is. There's a description part on the
Yeah, the
P-TAX.
description, yeah.
But
that's-
sometimes
that's
that
added,
deed
yeah.
is in there, so. again, this is stuff again, I'm not trying to,
No, and like I said, I'm no expert either, it's
I'm
all
not-
new.
yeah.
It's new to everybody, it's
Right.
not just new to us new county clerks, it's totally new to everybody.
But all I can tell you is I have a lot of time spent with making phone calls, having people come in, verify, and then we have to go up to the clerk's office, get past deeds, and we're doing all the research and finding out why this doesn't make sense on our map, and again, it affects, you know, the cost of this whole mapping system.
Has everyone had a chance to look over the resolution? Got any questions with it? All right, this time we'll see if we get a motion made to accept the resolution amending the rate for recording the deeds of GIS fund, raising from 55 to 65, with the increase of GIS fund to be $35 for each instrument and $10 for the clerk. Can I get a motion for that?
I'll make a motion.
And I'll second that motion. So all agree, say aye.
Aye.
Who's throwing a fit, the attorneys?
Title searchers.
Well, title searchers, that's gonna cost him no money anyhow, does it?
Well, but they work for the attorney.
$10 isn't gonna make or break fee and anything that, to do with closing.
A fee is a tax, but to me, I look at that kinda like a toll bridge. Maybe I'm looking at it wrong.
Probably a pretty good analogy,
You know,
because they're using it.
Personally, I don't mind using a toll bridge if I gotta pay a toll to use a nicer bridge. But-
Well, and I'm trying to
And
get
the
this-
only people that are using that are doing recording.
Well, I mean, to me, it's very beneficial for the attorney's office, title companies, land surveyors, appraisers, realtors. We get this information, we have it all out there, and I've got it so that the flow in my office is just minimal. I don't have.
So when
people-
this is up and running correctly, are you telling me it should help these title searchers?
Yeah, it's gonna benefit.
They
because
use it
can-
already, don't they?
Yeah, they use it already. I mean, they do a lot of their title work from their office because they can go online and pull up all the information.
Whoever typed this up, put 2014 instead of 15.
We can get it corrected.
So I marked it out for the 15.
Okay. Well, Gary, if you wanna introduce
Yeah,
your
this
representative
is,
of Fike Fike.
David Coe and Sheena Dreyer. They're from Fike Fike. They need a
Jeff
few
Weber,
minutes
good to
to set up,
Okay.
so.
Glad to meet you.
Gerald
There's
Strong,
two copies of that.
so-
How many
I'll introduce
copies
our,
are there?
yeah, there's Jeff Weber, he's the county commissioner, Gerald's the county commissioner, Juanita's the county clerk, I'm county commissioner, Jason, this is Dana, she's the county treasurer.
This isn't even the correct one, though, Jason.
What?
This isn't the correct
Is
one.
it, did I hand you the wrong one?
Yeah, it says 35 to 45.
Let me,
I don't know where you want.
They only all say 35
Gary,
to 45.
is this the ones that you dropped off for us?
You know, I thought
They all say 35
I
to
printed, you know what,
45.
I printed that off.
Yeah, I think you gotta get the one that, got a different number, it should be 45. I don't think this is the exact same one that we looked at before.
Well, this was the most recent,
What's the one that you,
this is it.
what's the one that you had that was at your office, that I had set in there with Gerald, remember I asked last week? The one that you showed Patrick and I, we went.
Well, this was going for 35 to 45 for that portion of the GIS.
Oh, okay.
They're both on there, aren't they?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, that's on there.
Okay, thank you.
But the date is still wrong,
Where do you,
correct?
Yeah.
Right.
sure.
where do you think you will best shoot it
I was
up?
gonna say, if we had a little table that we could set up here, Gary, that might,
We got a little PowerPoint, little overhead
Yeah.
presentation.
I was thinking maybe,
Any of that stuff.
I know. I
Yeah, why don't you just give it to me?
It's out in my car.
It hasn't spoiled out there, has it? Might be froze.
No, it's a gift certificate,
Oh.
sorry.
It's all right, we're on
Okay.
mute
I
anyway.
can
I was gonna say, you guys are all used to seeing things a little crooked, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Okay. Well,
You're all right, I'll scoot around here.
okay,
I'm gonna run Dana down. Oh, okay, you got a chair, I didn't see that.
Yeah, if you guys need to scoot on over.
okay. Follow, Jerry. I have to tell you, I can do a whole bunch of talking, or I can answer questions, or I can show you how the software goes. It all depends on what you guys would like to see. But I'll start off real briefly. Good morning, thank you for allowing us to come down today. Again, my name is Dave Coe. I'm one of the vice presidents at Fike and Fike. This is Sheena Dreyer, she's the manager of the implementation group for the company. And we're down at the invitation of Gary to show you our property tax system. A little bit of information about Fike and Fike. We have been in business for 30 years. We've been doing property tax systems. This is our 10th year. So, good longevity, nice and stable. I'll have packets that I can hand out afterwards that will give you a list of all of our customer references and the pertinent staff that we have that works on the property tax system. The system was written from scratch back in 2005. Fike and Fike took over the property tax system that Fiddler and Chambers, or Fiddler Doubleday, or whichever one of their names you might recognize. And what they did is they decided they wanted to get out of the property tax system, and we decided we wanted to get into it, so we bought the rights and then redeveloped. Currently, everything that we use is using a SQL database. Right now, you're currently on a Manatron system, which uses COBOL and proprietary databases. One of the advantages of SQL Server is that it's fast, it's very modern, it's usable. Your GIS system's gonna use SQL Server. Who are you using in the clerk's office for your indexing?
Manatron.
You're using Manatron also?
Oh, indexing on recording?
Indexing, yes.
COT systems, I'm sorry.
COT system?
Yes.
Okay. I can't remember off the top of my head what database they're using. With theirs, it's either probably SQL or Oracle, one of the new ones. The product is written in Microsoft Visual Basic. We're actually on our 3rd version of the software in the 10 years, so we're keeping up with all of the current technologies and features. Now, the system that you're running from Manatron currently is a DOS-based system, is that correct?
That's what I've been told.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I'll answer
Sorry.
that one.
Okay, Gary, thank you. And by the way, feel free just to jump in whenever you want. Okay, this is 100% Windows-based. One of the advantages of that is a workstation can have multiple things up at the same time. Right now, as an example, if the clerk wants to be working on extending rates or entering rates, she can be doing that. Somebody walks in and says, I want to do a redemption on a property. Minimize that one screen, pull up the redemption, and it's right there. One of the nice things about our system is because it's a SQL database, imagine just a big glob of data. Everything is in one database. What that means for us is that while Gary's working on his current assessing year, the county clerk can be working on next year's rates. Okay? As soon as the assessor's office finishes and turns over the data to the county clerk, he can immediately start working on the next year. Currently with your system, he has to wait until they're done with the extension. Is that correct, Gary?
Or later.
Or later, okay? For those of you who don't do the extension, usually by the time everything's filed with the state, and you get your multipliers back, and you enter your levies and all of that, you're talking up to a 3-month time frame where the assessor's office can't really process any new data, they're waiting. In our system, it's the very next day that they can get and go. Okay? Any questions on any of that?
I mean, you discussed, you know, the tax assessor and the clerk. How about the county treasurer's office?
The county, everyone in the system has access to live data at all times. So as an example, the treasurer, our system works on real-time calculations. What that means is that somebody calls the treasurer's office and says, you know, last year my taxes were $1,000. Do you have any kind of idea what it might be this year? She can actually pull up the record, look at what's coming from Gary's office, and the system will calculate estimated taxes. Okay?
Is that a good thing to do?
Yes,
It
in my
depends.
opinion it is.
Depends on what county you talk to, there's very.
In my opinion, it's
dangerous, because
Well-
you're gonna give those
Yeah.
people some false hope. I mean, what if it's not
Yeah,
exactly
exactly.
right?
Again, it's estimated,
I mean, you
That's-
gotta tell them, yeah.
and that's the
Yeah.
key thing because of exemptions and other factors that affect
They don't
that.
Well, we
understand
can tell them
estimations.
that now, and we
Oh, I know.
Okay, well, and by the way, that is just strictly an option.
But you don't,
Now-
you're not required to tell anybody anything.
Right.
I mean, I typically tell people, no, I won't estimate your taxes.
Okay,
Because, you know, something can happen and it ain't, you know, it's more than what they expect when they get it, and of course,
Right.
they're gonna be upset at the person that told them that.
you could have a state multiplier come in and the taxes could go up or down. Yeah, we totally understand that, and that's why some counties allow it and some don't. We do have what we call our parcel data sheet, which you can come and print at any time, and basically, it's just a summary of the parcel. And it will give you, on the second page, an estimate of the taxes, but the estimates, the word of estimate is like 3 times as large as all the rest of the print, so it's very blatant and it's right next to the taxes. Okay? Okay, everything in the system is modularized, basically based on the office. The system has password protections, so it knows that when someone from Gary's office logs in, that they should only be allowed to access the assessing information. The clerk's office gets access to enter and update all of the tax codes and levies and rates and redemptions and all that. The treasurer gets to do collections and distributions, the most important part of that. Okay?
How does it, and I might be jumping the gun here, but like sending out the tax bills, is that, I guess you assist on that too, print all those, or how does that
Sure.
work?
Um,
I mean, they already get that done now, right? I mean,
Okay. We offer that as a service also. Do they actually do the mailing for you?
No.
Okay. So what they do then is, do they print?
They just print.
They just print? Okay. We have several different options on that. We do have counties, your neighbor Pulaski, what we do for them is we print all their tax bills and then we pre-fold them. And then, when we print them, they come out in owner name order. So it's very easy just to pull, because when you send the bills out, you put one bill per envelope.
No, we do that also with Manatron, they'll print them in alphabetical order, and we fold our own tax bills. We kinda like to have our hands on that part, so we
Okay.
can, put multiples in an envelope, and all of that.
Sure.
So,
Okay. That is an option. We'll talk about the next step up. Yes, absolutely, we can print the tax bills, collector's books, assessor's books, assessment notices, mobile home bills. We can do all of that for you. And it is an option. It is a slight upcharge because it's something other than the normal system. But we have just started offering on printing services where we would actually do the printing, stuffing and mailing for
Yes,
you.
I'll do that. And I still think that takes, we like to look at, when we're folding them or whatever, we'll be, well, this person, doesn't have their owner occupied, or this, you can kinda skim through them as you go, so we do still like to have that personal
Okay.
touch ourselves.
Yep, again,
How time consuming is that for you?
We normally allow ourselves 2 weeks from the time, we get it in our office to the time we have the bills out. It very rarely takes that, but you need to account for the postage machine tearing up or the folding machine tearing up or, whatever. So, no more than 2 weeks. Actually a week, but we allow ourselves 2.
okay. With the secondary mailing service, we would do the bundling also. So if you have, typically you can get 4 pieces of mail in a single first-class envelope, which you're doing that by hand right now.
We do that by hand, but you have people who have 50 some odd tax bills. We'll pull all those and put them in one
Big envelope or
envelope
a
and,
box.
like I said,
Core Logic in that for the mortgage companies.
Not so much them, cause they request theirs, but, no, it's more like farmers, stuff like that.
Okay. So the big farmers.
I
Okay.
guess CoreLogic probably does have a lot of them too.
Okay. As far as your big mortgage companies, do you allow the banks to take payments here?
No.
No, okay, so everything comes into the courthouse, okay. For the mortgage companies, a lot of them have gone to a single clearinghouse, and CoreLogic appears to be the winner in that. Do you do electronic files with them? Okay, and what that is instead of giving CoreLogic, paper tax bills, what they do is they just create a file that we email up to them, which is everybody in the county. They review and then send back a payment file electronically also. And what we do is we take that file and push a button, and it automatically records all of the payments for them,
That's how
Okay.
we do.
which is what you're doing now. Okay?
The company we're with now does that exact same thing.
Yes. Okay?
Is there a charge for that?
No. No, that's built into the system. And, we might as well talk about charges right now. With our software, we charge an annual subscription fee. And it depends on the length of the contract that you sign. If you do a 3 or 5 year contract, it's 95 cents per parcel per year, which in your county comes to
Roughly $10,000.
roughly $10,000 a year. That gets you all legislative updates, it gets you enhancements, it gets you unlimited 800 support, it gets you as much training as you need to get up and going on the system. Okay.
Are you gonna have that breakdown, or do we need to have this in?
We'll have
Um,
paper for you.
Yeah, we've got that on paper. We also give the option for the counties, if they want, for us to have a website for you, which allows the viewing public to come in and view all of the data on your all of the data that you provide on a website, including all of the historical data. Okay? And again, that's just another option that we've done. Currently, all of my customers except one are doing that feature. And what they found out is that it cut down the foot traffic in the assessor and the treasurer's office by almost 80%. Abstractors and people coming in to look for things.
What's the cost for that?
8 cents a parcel.
I have approximately a little over 10,000 parcels, 10,219 right now.
Yep.
So you're talking $800?
That sounds about right
Per year.
per year.
That just means they'll come to the county clerk's office to look everything up.
Well, they can get it online though, correct? Is that what you're saying?
Right. Yes.
It would be
Yeah.
a web inquiry, so they could find their information online, so I
Should.
usually cut down phone calls
Hopefully,
and
yeah.
traffic for
So,
everybody.
all of your sales information, assessments, exemptions, property owners, all of that would be available
Payments.
online. Okay? Okay, I'm gonna,
I've got to interrupt, but I think the key point is to keep reemphasizing is the real-time data. Right now, we don't have real-time data.
right,
I mean, we just don't, we can't update the information quick enough between Bruce Harris and Manatron to get people, you know, the information as it's changing, and that's caused some issues and several issues in my office with misunderstanding on tax bills and stuff.
So like, what's an example, like, on time? Or what do you mean, like, how would that affect the everyday people out here in our
Well,
community and stuff like that?
If I'm reassessing information, and I'm able to input that information in the system, and I'm doing it at the start instead of waiting 3 or 4 months to do it sometimes, then people can see this is the most recent assessment information, and therefore they, as a title company, and I'm not gonna tell any attorney or title company how to do their job, but they need that real-time information when they're doing closings, and to make sure they're compensating people correctly. And it's a very important thing, because, again, I can't, it isn't always an issue if I don't know what's in their contract. So, but if they write based on last year's tax bill, well, that's between the buyer and the seller.
Right.
And whoever wrote the contract, and I don't know what goes on, but I just know that that's a big problem here with, especially if people don't come down to my office, they may not have that real-time information. They may go up to the treasurer's office and have last year's information. And that's why real-time information is very important. And again, this is where everything is headed in the future. I mean, as far as, from what I can see with legislation and transparency and trying to ensure that we're, doing what we're supposed to be doing here.
a prime example of that is a parcel sells. Well, the problem is when it sells, they may lose an exemption or 2 or 3. As soon as the sale comes in, it gets recorded in the system, that's live for everybody. So now they know that where last year they had a senior exemption and a senior freeze, now they're back down to just the owner occupied, and their taxes are gonna probably double because of that. So it's another safety check on the system. We have all kinds of checks and safety valves that are built in. As an example, the system does a check to make sure that when Gary tries to go and do a split on a parcel, the system will flag it as not allowable if there's forfeited taxes or open certificates on the parcel. It'll come up and tell him, we really shouldn't be doing this because there are outstanding taxes at this point. Okay? For things to help the different offices, of course, we have full audit trails, so we can tell anytime a change is made to the parcel, exactly who's made the change, the date it was changed, what it was before and after. I have to tell you, after the first year, most counties don't ever look at that again, unless they get a new staff person. Because then it's a very easy review to make sure that if there's a problem with how a staff's entering it, it makes it a lot easier to identify it.
Well, I know, like, our auditors ask for an audit report, every year to what changes have been made to.
Yep, and we provide that automatically. We can get it to you based on any parcels that had an assessed value change or any parcels that had a tax dollar change to
I
get
think
the
we
list.
can currently do that now, can't we?
I have no.
I would do.
Okay, probably. How do you guys go about doing certificates of error right now?
Well, they go down with Gary, I'm not sure what he does.
All I can do is issue a certificate of error,
Okay,
and then my board of review has to approve it,
right.
and then we take it up to the treasurer's office after that.
And I think there's a few things Judy does just to safeguard, she goes over it, you know, applies what they say, and then she sends the certificates back downstairs for them to go over and make sure that she's done, you know, cause some of it.
Exactly what it says.
Exactly what they have written, you know, for it to do, so, and they bring it back,
Okay.
another
One of the things,
hands-on.
yeah, one of the things the system will do is Gary can actually pull the parcel up on the screen. And if he wants to do a certificate of error on it, he can hit just the print button, select certificate of error. It generates 8.5 by 11 sheet that has the current owner's name, the legal description, the current valuations and all that. And then it's just a matter of check boxes. And he checks what is changing, whether it's be a new exemption or an exemption coming off or a valuation change. It goes up to the treasurer's office, they enter the information in, which is, you bring up a screen and click on just a checkbox that says it's a new exemption or whatever, put the information in, automatically recalculates the taxes for that. I don't know how often this happens, but if you come up and have a certificate of error that would generate a refund, which would be because they've already paid the first payment and first or second payment, and the certificate of error drops the taxes down, it'll display on the screen immediately how much the refund needs to be for the tax buyers. The system will also allow you to automatically generate refund checks based on certificates of error. Are you using laser checks right now? Yeah. Okay.
I'm pretty sure she, yeah, I think we have that option too. A lot of the problem here, I think the computer system will do more even than what we use it, but because we've done it this way for 15 years, that's just, you know, I've had the same person in that position for 20 years.
Sure.
And so she does it the way that she does it, not because the capability's not there, it's just, you know,
The
when
habit.
you learn something, it's a habit.
Okay. We like to think that our way works really well and that everybody would benefit from that and like it. One of the things we really like about our system is the functionality of how you locate parcels in the system. And this is a pretty familiar function throughout the system. And I know you guys can't read this from where you are, but these are the different search criterias that you could have on the system. So as an example, we could come in and look for a sales analysis report where we're looking for all of the 1.5-story houses that were built in 1956 that have sold in the last 6 months that are in this township or this area. You can also do inquiries. You know, farmers, God bless them, don't know their parcel numbers, but they can give you a legal description like you just wouldn't believe. In the system, you can do a search by a partial legal description and pull up the properties. Okay? We can also find by owners' names. So, as an example, we'll just come in here and I'll just select this section. And I want to see everything that's unimproved farmland. And we'll just stop there. And it brought up all of the parcels that meet that criteria.
What if you wanted to say, looking for farmland with 100 acres to 150 acres? Would it pull up?
Currently, acres is not one of the options. However, we do have a report that will let you print parcels that are within that range.
So if you're looking for a particular farm, you can just, or who owns those farms?
Right, you can put in the owner's name and do it that way.
And the reports will come up in preview mode too, so you don't necessarily have to print it. So you can bring it up on screen, scan through it, find what you want.
Which we think's a really great thing. You know, we're all trying to save trees, as we can see. All of the reports in the system do give you the option of previewing them on the screen first. once you've previewed them, you do have a choice. You can either print them from the preview, you can save them out to a PDF, you can save them out to Excel, Word. So you have multiple ways that you can save the data afterwards. Okay? Everything in our system is set to print on 8.5 by 11 paper. So everything's pretty standard. We do have one report in the treasurer's office that just because of the amount of information on it, and it is the year-end report, that it does require legal paper. But other than that, everything is standard 8.5 by 11. Now what are you using currently for your assessor and collector's books? Are you,
Well, actually, this will be the first, well, last year was actually the first year we could print them down on, and at our last zone meeting, they said that legally, we don't even have to print the collector's books as long as we have them on a disc.
so that legislation's passed?
That's what they said at the treasurer's meeting. I didn't hold anybody's toast to the fire, but
Okay, I'll have to check. The last I heard, that was still being proposed. Because right now statutes say that you have to print an assessor book and a collector book each year. And until recently, I guess, you
well,
had to
final
keep those
collector
forever.
book is what that was.
Yeah.
And two, we do have the option of printing it on a smaller paper. This year, we thought about it, and while we've got paper left from the bigger books, so we're gonna go ahead and print them this year and
Okay.
use that paper up and.
Okay, I was gonna say, one advantage of the 8.5 by 11s, the binders are $4 a piece instead of
80.
$75 or $80 a piece. So there's pretty significant savings, you know. If a folder goes bad, spend another $4 and replace it. Our system also does allow you to go back in and recreate an assessor book or a collector book at any time. So if you come in and somebody was flipping through the book and tore out 10 pages of the 2009 assessor collector book, you could come back in and just reprint those pages and reinsert them. Okay. Historical data, there is no limit to the system. I have counties that have data running back to 1995 online. How much can you guys access currently?
None from my office. I don't know what Gary has available.
They're really good about documenting things in that office. They've always been good.
Mm-hmm.
So I would say probably back into the, farther than 1995.
Okay. Good.
Online, were you saying
No,
online?
When you say online, you like scanning the documents? Is that what you're,
No, I meant,
or?
what can you pull up in the computer?
Okay.
Oh,
No, that's, I don't.
yeah. Way back.
Yeah, way back.
Yeah.
Way back, okay, good. Something else the system will allow you to do, sorry. We allow unlimited addressing in the system. And where that comes into play is, you have farms that have passed from a grandfather or a parent down to 7 or 8 siblings. Every sibling wants a copy of the assessment notice, every sibling wants a copy of the tax bill. Okay? How do you guys handle that situation now?
When you just
Only
send
one person to get a notice, won't
One.
they?
I mean, we'll send it, if they call and request them or whatever, we'll send multiples, but the computer will only recognize one.
Okay.
And like I said, you know, whether or not it's an option that, you know, has been there, we've just always done it that way.
Right, okay. So is it, with ours, you can actually predefine those, so there is always a principal.
Primary.
A primary who gets the assessment notice and who gets the tax bill. But the system allows you to have unlimited copies being sent. And whenever we send a copy, we always use the word copy on the form, so they know that it is a duplicate. Advantage of that is you set it up once, because these people are gonna request it every single year. we set it up once, from there on, anytime you go to print a tax bill, that tax bill will print and the 6 copies will print with it.
And you can
So-
change it at any point in time, but it rolls over.
Yeah, that's another thing, you know, you gotta stop and think about that, whether it's a good thing, you know, taxpayers, 48 cents a pop, you know.
Yeah.
it's-
Let me ask you on this historical data,
Mhm.
if, you know, if we went with a different company, how does that work for what we already have recorded or saved with this different system?
The beauty with a 5-year contract, your conversion's free. I mean, we'll convert all the history that you have.
Okay. So you don't lose nothing.
Nope. Now, well, let me throw one little memo on there. That's assuming that the company you're with now will actually allow the data to be exported in a format that we can read it.
I think we've run into that problem before, haven't we? Somebody's not.
With
I feel
CIC,
like
when we,
deja vu.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this,
Mhm.
in other counties, have you dealt with the company we're dealing, you know, that we currently have they worked with you on transferring historical data?
It is, sorry. We have not yet converted a Manatron customer. We have converted people from the Fiddler system, we've converted people from the DevNet system, but we have not converted a Manatron yet.
Have you asked, or you just have not ran across a Manatron customer yet?
We just haven't,
You haven't sold to a
we haven't
Manatron
sold
customer
to a
yet?
Manatron
Yeah,
customer.
we haven't had one that failed. We
Okay.
haven't picked up somebody converting over from
Okay.
Manatron yet.
Do you have a pretty good success rate when you convert, as most people?
Well, the first 2 companies you mentioned, didn't that the 2 companies that you have bought out?
Fiddler we bought out, I'm sorry, there was also another, our latest conversion rounds were a company called Sidnet, which at one point used to be part of DevNet, and we converted 3 of their customers 2 years ago. And our success rate in that was, as far as I know, there wasn't any data that we did not get from that customer.
We had somebody come over straight from DevNet, not through Sidnet too, didn't we?
Mhm.
So DevNet, we didn't buy out anybody else. Fiddler was the one that was 10 years ago. DevNet's a current company, Sidnet's a current company.
Actually, Sidnet's now out of business.
Okay, as of recently. And then, any customs that we've already done, as opposed to those others?
No.
I have another question, I don't know, one of us, so I brought it up a few weeks ago. We had heard that you all was going out of the property tax business.
You
You
know,
know, I
that
don't
was
know.
news to us.
You know, I didn't know,
Who said that?
I was someone in this room, but I don't know which one, but I attended a meeting and heard it, or, you know, I don't know.
Yeah,
But,
absolutely not the case.
you know,
Well, I had talked to a couple of the treasurers and, you know, people in this spring, and that's what they told me, so, I mean, I'll be one to tell you.
Okay. Very interesting. You know, quite frankly, we have a big investment in this part of it. We see it has growth potential and have absolutely no plans to take the property tax.
Actually, because of the Fiddler buyout, which was 10 years ago now, there was a 10-year non-compete as far as getting into other markets that Fiddler was in, so CAMA, some other different things that we haven't yet branched out to. So now that 10 years has passed, that's come up, and we're actually expanding. We're expanding into these other areas. It's also used by county government.
I think most people sitting in this room wanna know, what's the cost? What are we looking at a cost for what if we convert it to your company? You mentioned 95 cents a parcel, that's just for
Yeah.
the beginning of it, but.
That's,
Or am I jumping ahead here?
that's, no, we ready to talk about that? Cost?
well, I don't know, I mean, you know, Juanita or Dana, Juanita, and
They haven't asked
Gary,
any questions.
you know, yeah, I mean, you know, they're the ones that are gonna be affected by this on a
Mhm.
daily basis. And, you know, we had a conversion, this past 2013 and 14 with the system, and you know, we're still going through a lot of growing pains with that. Still trying to get some bugs worked out with the software, and then also just, you know, getting better at using the system. And, you know, I have to be honest, we're probably a little bit gun shy on jumping on something else. But, you know, we do wanna save money and hope it's, you know, that would be important to us. But, you know, Dana and Gary and Juanita are the ones who really are the ones that need to be asking questions.
They take the brunt of the headache
Sure.
when
And-
things don't go right.
And, you know, and I'm sure they have a comfort level with what they've been with,
And
you know.
I'm gonna tell you right now, and this is why I'm very strong about going to a different company, is I am not gonna go 3 months trying to get an abstract approved again with a company that I cannot figure anything out on. That's not gonna work. And 75% of this tax system happens in my office. And it is critical that I'm able, because if I can't get an abstract, it ain't gonna matter to the clerk or the treasurer, because they're not gonna get something. And all I can tell you is the system we're using now is old, it's antiquated, and we really need to be moving forward and getting something user-friendly, because this is not a good situation. And I'm very adamant about it.
Oh,
And again, I'm not gonna tell anybody how to do their job.
Sure.
But I'm gonna tell you right now, the system we're using, if I can't work it, I can't figure it out, then that tells me, what is anybody else doing?
Well, that's what the support there is for,
Well-
and a lot of it, I'm not trying to throw a wrench in it or anything like that, but it's like, why all of a sudden, you know,
No, I've been fighting for this for 3 years, Dana, since
but
I
all
got
of a
here.
sudden before our previous assessors, you know, we didn't have this.
They were trained in DOS. Are you trained in DOS? Do you understand DOS? Because you're more than welcome to come down to my office and help me.
Well, I mean, I'm just saying, you got support, you know, that'll get you, walk you through
What
whatever.
good am I then if
I mean-
if I got support doing my job? What am I doing then?
Let me ask you this, though, sir. You know, Gary says 75% of it's on him. Is that how you feel? I mean, how do you you're the programmer of this system or know
Yeah.
how to sell it.
The way to remember it is, the assessor is a year-round job. The county clerk, as far as extension, is 6 weeks to maybe 3 months. The treasurer collection period runs, in a good year, June to October. Would that be correct?
No, they're further behind.
I
Okay.
disagree with the county clerks,
I
because
wouldn't
we're
say we'd be
constantly doing
behind.
things.
I mean, are you saying with the treasurer, when the stuffing, the due times and the pickups, and is it what you're saying? It's usually the fall. I mean, it's.
Yeah, I
So
mean, you could
August
be
to-
like,
August to
bam, bam,
November.
bam, you know, we could get the tax bills in July and get them, you know, you got 30 days before the first due date and at least 30 days in between the due date. And then, you know, so many days, you know, the day they come to delinquent, you could send out the delinquent letters and all that. It's something you kind of try and, for your taxpayers' benefits, spread that and not make it such
Sure.
a wham bam kind of a thing, you
Now,
know.
with the county clerk, what all, I mean, because I'm just trying to learn a little bit
Uh-huh.
myself. What all do you, in your system, do you see that they have to do? You know, Juanita says it takes longer than that, than what you said. What all do they have to do?
Or, I'm sorry, I was talking just the extension. Are you talking about throughout the year doing
Throughout the
redemptions?
year,
and that?
redemptions, extensions for redemptions, putting in cost, if they're going for a tax deed. Yeah, it's a constant thing.
I'm
There's no
sorry.
end.
I-
There's
I-
no end.
I did not include the redemption part in that. Yeah, after the tax sale, the clerk's office does have a process where they have to track any fees that get applied to the tax sale. And do you enter those in the computer also? Okay. So you have to enter them in the computer, you also have to enter them on the paper judgment book, so it's sort of
Yes.
like a double thing. How many parcels go to tax sale a year?
About 250,
Two, yeah,
somewhere in there,
somewhere between
200,
250.
250.
Okay. And most of them, do you have a high redemption rate on those?
Pretty high. There's very few that don't get redeemed.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay. And are you currently using the county trustee? Okay. You doing the automated sale, or are you doing,
That's
Video.
something we're thinking about, but haven't got that far.
What's the automated, what's that?
The tax sale, instead of me and Judy conducting it downstairs, Joseph Myers for a cost will come down, and most of the treasurers are going that way, just for the, I guess, because of what happened in Williamson County with the treasurer and all that,
Yeah,
they're all kinda going with an automated.
yeah. Basically what they do is they bring in, you tell them you're gonna have 6 tax buyers, they bring in 6 laptops, and it displays the parcel up on the screen, they bid their percentage, they have like 5 or 10 seconds per parcel to bid. And there is no judgment. You know, right now, the clerk and the treasurer have to try to spot
Oh, okay.
who's doing it.
wins
So
the bid,
with that,
right.
it's getting away from that,
Run a live auction.
yeah.
as opposed to-
Okay. Well, that way they don't feel like they're playing favoritism.
Favoritism
Right,
or
Right.
it takes all of that
human
judgment out of it.
judgment out.
So what's the cost for that? Yeah, I'm sure there's a cost in it.
You know, I can't remember because we didn't get, you know, that serious about it. There is a cost, they told me, and I can't remember what it was, but, a lot of the treasurers like Harrisburg, Swain County, they do it, wouldn't have it any other way.
Why wouldn't you wanna do it? Keep yourself in a position of not,
Why would she
Well,
want to
it's-
not be
Yeah,
automated?
yeah.
Money, I mean, it basically for the money, you know, get down and see how much do you really wanna cost the county any more money than you have to for something you've done. You know, we didn't even have Manatron print our bills for years, and then it got to where our printer, you know, would act up or whatever, so it's like, you know what?
what is the cost? Do you know what the cost
No,
is?
not off the top of my head. For the tax sale or to print the bills?
No, for this automated.
For the
No.
automated
We
auction?
don't, we
Yeah.
don't do that, yeah, that's Joseph Myers.
Yeah,
But
that's
I'm just curious, I mean,
true. Well, I can get them
the
figures
legal
for you.
side of it could cost us more than what,
Exactly,
you know,
exactly.
if everyone ever had a problem with it.
Although they are required, if they're not doing the automated sale, they are required to have a videotape
Yeah, we
of
do
it.
record it.
Which in theory, that's supposed to make you guys be,
And we can still do
More
this
conscious.
year. I mean, when I talked to him the other day, he said, well, you wanna do it, we still can.
I'm just curious what it costs. But you don't provide that service, you're just
No.
brought that up.
and actually the trustee provides it because it makes their life easier, because they have access to any of the parcels automatically.
Start to finish.
Yeah,
They do the certificates and everything. Like, it takes some of the stuff off of me and Juanita Bow.
So the way I look at this, I mean, just by talking to Gary in the past, is you could save us money, probably for what we're paying now, right? But the issue is, you know, learning something new, getting all the offices to work together on that, that's always gonna be the hurdle. But I guess, you know, I would like to know what the exact cost would be, that way we can look at what we're currently paying.
Well, that's what I think. You know, if we can get a rundown of what they're gonna offer and for their money, and then
Yeah.
we'll get Manatrons and, you know, that. And I guess while we're shopping, you know, I've talked to a few of the assessors from other counties that are, and treasurers of what company they have. You know, they said DevNet has a lot to offer, you know, so I think if we're gonna get them all on the table.
Yeah, I think one of you had been to a meeting and said that companies, other counties had this company. Was they dissatisfied with the customer service, or what was it, the calls, or there was something, I mean, I just
Maybe
wanna
it was
throw it
the
out there.
one support person or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
It was,
I mean, do you have more than, I mean, we're just hearing one side of the story.
Sure.
Sure.
You just explained to us.
yeah.
well, when we
Well,
go
we
to
were
our
here,
zone
I mean,
meetings, we ask, you know, who do you have and are you satisfied? I believe you do
Yeah,
the
I did
same
the
thing
same
when
thing.
you go to
Yeah.
your meeting.
Yeah.
You know,
And I believe, I
do
can't.
you have enough support staff always on call to answer questions, to be there? I mean,
Yes,
you know, there's not an employee that's gonna be on hold for 2 hours or waiting for 2 or 3 hours to get a response on an issue.
absolutely not.
Okay.
Our goal for support is to take 75 to 80% of the calls as they come in the door. The remaining, within 2 hours, you get a call back.
2 hours is a long time, you're doing something you need to get done.
Yeah.
And a lot of
But-
that'll vary too, you know, if somebody says, oh, I have somebody here at the counter or whatever, that'll vary that triage so that you don't fall into that 20 or 25%. If you have something, you know, that needs turned into the state in a week from now and you had a question on it, then the cost, so everybody has that, and then we'll go through some of the features of the various
If they wanna
modules,
see,
office
sure.
by office, you guys can see how some of that works. And then we'll take it from there. Over any
Okay.
questions.
Actually, I have fairly decent numbers, if you're interested.
Yes.
Because we worked up a quote for Gary back in
Is that in our
December
packets, or do
13th.
we need to do we need to write these numbers down, or?
What I'll do is, because it's based on parcels, your parcels have changed since
Right.
2013.
Understand.
So I can get you a new copy of this with the actual numbers from Gary,
Okay.
okay? Now, what we had back in 2013 is your total parcel count at that point was 11,000 because it includes the tax exempt parcels. And you had almost 1,200 mobile homes. So at 95 cents a parcel, the core system was $11,659.
That's an annual,
That's an annual fee,
right?
okay? If you went with the web-based component, where we would upload your data
All of our
weekly or
historical data.
nightly, would come to, again, it's based on the parcels, $982 a year. To print your tax bills for you, $706. That gets you the service that you've got now.
So that's printing and folding and then providing to them.
Whether you want us to fold or not, that's your question.
Right, and then there's other services we can offer if you wanna get more into the mailing, if you don't wanna be in the mailing, if you wanna fold yourself, all of that can vary.
Mhm.
And then, like you said, printing, assessment books, collector's books, any of that, if
Y'all
you
get
guys
a-
wanna outsource it, there's
Do
small
y'all
fees
get any
for
kind
it
of
too.
discount for doing bulk mailing and printing? I mean, would the mailing be cheaper?
The mailing would be cheaper because of postage.
Right.
Where you'd save your money.
And
Yep.
the way that that works with your discounts, it's not a specific company based on, you don't register as a company and say, okay, I do this much printing services, therefore, post office, you give me a discount. You have to be able to provide certain services to the post office. You have to be able to group things together by ADC codes or different things, and provide it bundled in certain ways. And the more services you can provide, or maybe drive it to a different post office location, it's a different distribution point. The more services that you can do the post office job for them, the better your rates are, regardless of who you are. So if you have the ability, even as a county, to do all these things, they get pretty complex, though, is the problem. You have to do address verification, all sorts of different things. That's how you get all your discounts, and we do lots and lots of those things. So that's how we end up getting good rates. Your
At this
big
point,
mailing
we only get a
companies.
penny, you know, we pay 48 cents instead of 49, but on 10,000 in tax bills, it's, you know, we're saving a penny.
And in our pricing for the mailing services, we have different breakdowns, you know, kind of depending on what level of service you want, but that would get more of those discounts.
Yeah, so you're, right now, you're gonna be between 13 and 14,000 if you select those three options.
And if you did just the software and didn't do any of the add-ons, then it's under 12.
Well, would we be able to, like at this time, and you're talking real time, when we'll have somebody come in, and like, we try to go through the tax bills and be like, oh, they don't have an owner occupied, or I know they're 65, they don't have a homestead exemption, so are you,
Why would you guys do that?
Well, I don't know, I mean, I
I'm
understand.
just curious.
I
why would
understand.
you not wanna help your taxpayer? That's your
That's our,
job.
no, that's our job to make sure somebody's got an exemption, and it's their job to let us know when they get the tax bill.
Well,
Why
that's,
would we wanna be spending time doing my job? If you wanna do exemptions, Dana, please, you can have it.
no, what I wanna do is my job, which is looking out for the taxpayer,
I
which
mean-
is if I notice they don't have an
Well, I'm
owner
not saying
occupied.
that, but it's like, how much time are we spending on this?
Well, Gary,
Well,
I mean,
it's-
I think that's where even I see, you know, sometimes wrong on that is, you know, I understand that she's taking the time and looking for the tax exemptions or the owner occupied, but,
It's not a whole lot of time though
You
when
know,
you're standing there at the
and
counter
I
with
understand your
them.
point, you're trying to say, well, they need to be knowledgeable enough to find out their errors themselves, but if you look at most of the taxpayers, they don't understand that stuff.
And she's an elected
You know,
official, and she's
and-
trying to look out for
Well, I'm
people
trying to
we
look
put
out
in
for
this
them too, to
office.
make sure that we've got it right.
Yeah.
I mean.
What do you, okay, let me ask you this, in your opinion, how should she handle it? Notice it and give it to you?
Well,
or
never,
not let
they
no
shouldn't
one
be
know.
commenting on it. If there's a problem, yes, notify us and we'll
It's
take
my
a look at
tax
it.
bill as well as it is yours.
You know,
Right.
but, I don't know.
I'm confused because I really thought my job was to do values and exemptions. That's my job.
It is, but I think what she's doing, she's recognizing that there's an error, she's just making it aware to the taxpayer.
Okay.
I send out a
guess-
bill, I'm the biller, it's
So, I
my,
don't know, I mean, how do you see that, Jeff and Gerald? Do you have an opinion on it?
I think we'll take care of it.
You know,
Thanks.
so.
If you want to
So-
spend, that's fine, but I just, like I said, just let me know if there's,
That's what, so who is getting notified that, hey, this isn't right?
if a taxpayer comes
If,
into the
you mean
thing.
if they're standing
If
there,
they're
you're gonna tell
standing
them?
there, or even if it's somebody, like if I run across a bill and it's somebody that I know, you know, for instance,
Well, it needs to be, not a person you know, if you just see an error, maybe it needs to be attention.
it is anybody's error, it is, chances are if it's not somebody that you know, and it may not be a friend of mine, but when so-and-so taxpayer comes in and I think, you know, I remember him from last year, he seems like he'd be over. I don't hunt these down. People will come into the counter and I'll say, you know, you're 65, I wonder, you know, did you know that you qualify for a senior citizens exemption? You should, I don't tell them you're going to qualify for it. I says
You
you
should check
may,
into it.
everybody in my office is,
and you can send them down, and
And
we
that's what we
appreciate
do.
that.
We send
And
them
want-
down.
And that's what we ask
Some of
for,
them
is
will-
bring them down. But what happens is, from the time they talk to Dana, well, it turns into Dana said, which we know doesn't happen. You know, it turns in, and then it turns into them getting mad, and
Yeah.
it just gets, you know,
Well, they're
challenging.
probably upset because they wish they'd already had it, and you know, once the bills are printed, it's pretty much done.
Well,
deal.
no, it's not. We can fix it.
and that's where
we
my
can fix it.
question of real time is coming in. If we have real time and I send them downstairs today, we have to wait until next year
And anytime,
before we can
if
get
we have
it.
this stuff real time, Dana, anybody can sit there and scan through ours to let us know
Well, that's what I'm
before we
saying,
get
are
to
we
the.
gonna get these corrected in real
we-
time then on this bill,
absolutely.
or is it gonna wait for next year?
No.
What should happen, and, sorry, I got a little distracted in the conversation. When I, Dana, when I heard you say we check the bills, what I heard was, wow, so when I'm folding the bills, I'm looking at every one
We are
and checking.
scanning,
Okay, so
yeah.
you're doing that also.
Mhm.
But then the conversation went to, the taxpayer comes back in with the bill, and we look at
at
notice
all
it.
times we're doing it, like
Right.
where Judy might be folding taxpayer B's thing, but I may wait on taxpayer B when he comes in, and I notice something, you know, it's, I'm not saying it's something that we do a checklist off of everything on every single tax bill. You kinda scan them and you catch what you can. I mean, we've found taxpayers that haven't got an owner occupied exemption for 10 years,
Okay,
you know?
yeah.
And
And what, absolutely, what should happen at that point, because we've already calculated the tax bills, that person, you need to direct the person down to the assessor's
that's
office.
what we do.
The assessor generates a certificate of error,
If it's
Providing-
legitimate, yeah,
providing that it's.
everything's right.
And on time,
Substantiated.
and timely, correct?
Yeah, there's a cutoff on, like I said, if they've had their tax bill for 60, 90 days and we're past the second installment and they haven't
Okay.
said anything, we do have a
If the
cutoff.
law states that that's the deadline, you know.
I gotta tell you, the law's pretty ambiguous about that. I have counties that will not issue a certificate of error after the second due date. I have counties that will issue certificates of error up to 5 minutes before the tax sale starts.
So that's what we used to do.
My opinion, again, my opinion, that's bad.
I wouldn't say 5 minutes, but I think it was probably.
What's your opinion though, I mean, why, and, I think some of it, the responsibility has to be on the people,
Right.
you know,
Well,
you know, a lot of times they wanna blame everybody but themselves for their issues.
the reason that I don't like that close is statutorily, you are required to publish in the paper and to send a certified notice telling the people how much their taxes are. My opinion, you have to stop taking certificates of error 2 minutes before you send those notices out. Because now we'd be trying to change a value right before the tax sale, and it wouldn't line up with your notices. And then you could have people come in and say, you know, well, you noticed me this amount, but that's wrong, so you shouldn't sell it,
Yeah,
type situation.
yeah, well, we didn't do it right up,
Yeah.
that was being general, but anyway, we did it a lot longer than what we do now.
Which I think, what, you know, us not doing it as long is a good thing. I don't have no issue with that.
Well, again,
You know.
at some point, the taxpayer's gotta take some responsibility for what's on their tax bill, and most people don't even know this statutory, we don't even have to send them a tax bill.
You know, and I think, you know, with us, the board that we have now that does that, I think it's a good idea too, you know. Get
And
some
they're,
administrators.
like I said, we make mistakes, we make mistakes, we're not perfect down there at all. And it's hard to know when somebody turns 65, we don't know. You know, somebody from the state probably does, I don't know why they don't generate something to us when somebody turns 65, but, you know, those
And
are
that, you know, a
most
lot of
generally,
things-
that's most generally
I
the
mean, I'm
one,
sitting
and that
there-
one happens, and I'm
And that's
okay.
it, you're not seeing the
but the-
taxpayer, I'm seeing them and can tell that they're over 65. I'm also,
How about me? Do I look 65? to you?
no,
No.
you look like
Make
you've
sure.
got 25 years to go.
But the only, you know, like I said, again, owner occupied, that gets a little, because there are some
Well,
statutes
there's
and
people
some
that come
things.
in, for instance, that pay their tax bill, and you sit there and look at their check and see plainly their check has got the same address on it that their tax bill does, and they don't have an owner occupied. And we'll be like, sir, do you live in this house?
Well,
And they'll
and
be like,
again,
yeah, we've lived
please-
here for 10 years.
Please
I said,
direct
well,
them
you
down
need to go downstairs, that's what we
Yeah,
do, we don't
and
tell
let
them they're
us-
going to get it, we tell them they need to go check in the
Because-
assessor's office to see if they
Well,
qualify.
And I think we all agree, it's not Gary and them's fault for that
No.
happening. It's just,
It
It
creates,
just
helps.
it does create a lot more, you know,
Help.
it does create more work, and that's fine. I don't mind, but what people don't understand is I issue the certificate of error. I do not make the approval of it.
the
Right.
board does.
The board does. So, you know,
Okay. Now, one thing that we've started doing the last couple of years, Gary each year is required to send out an assessment notice that notifies people whenever their values increase or decrease. We also have a format of the notice that can include all of the exemptions that are currently on record for that person. So they actually can see the exemptions that they're qualified for or they've signed up for at the notice level, which means they could come in and complain and the board could take care of it before it goes to the county clerk.
and that's one thing within your system I like, because I have the option to, on a notice, put on there, here's your assessed value, here's your exemptions, here's what your estimated tax bill would be based on last year's rate. And I'm okay with that. I'm okay with people coming in mad about their tax bill, because that tells me whether there's something I need to address, or, you
So
know,
on
or
this,
if it's
on
just
this
a.
notice, it's actually gonna show the dollar figure.
The dollar figure is an option.
Yeah, because I think that helps, because what we receive now doesn't show a dollar figure. Doesn't, it just shows a percentage, is that? am I
Right, a percentage change.
Yeah, because
You're
most
talking
people,
about assessed value though.
Yeah, I'm talking about when I publish. I'm talking about those notices that when we publish.
but how about those notices, because a lot of times people get those, they just go right in the trash can, until they get their property tax bill, where it really
It
shows
has a
them.
dollar sign in front
And
of
then
some
they're up here
numbers.
like going, hey, what's happened? I mean, that happens every year, after year, after year. Is that an option?
You
Yes.
talked about the estimated taxes. We do have two different versions of the assessment notice. One of them will include estimated taxes if you want. Some people don't wanna go there with estimated taxes. Some people do, because that's the only thing that people will pay attention to.
I'm talking about on the like if they got assessed, is that what you're talking about? Yes.
Yeah. So the assessment notice, it'll show value, and I think he's got a copy of it, but then we do have two different versions too. One where you can show estimated taxes, which is typically what generates people to really look at this and say, I think something's wrong.
Well, even
Whatever.
according to your last year's,
Right.
tax bill, this would be a $200 change,
Is
you know,
that an
plus
option
or
with the company
minus.
we're with now?
I can't give them a notice of what their exemptions are now.
But a
We
dollar
list all
figure
the
too?
I-
No.
Not that
Assessed
I'm aware of.
value and exemptions that they have.
So check,
And it's, so we live in McLean County, and the assessment notice I get from McLean County for my personal property is kind of a letter where everything's jarbled in there. and you
Well,
have to
it's
start
kinda
to
the way
find
ours is
things.
It's a bad example because it doesn't have the exemptions, but if it did, it would list the exemption name, what your value for the exemption was last year, and the amount of the value for the exemption this year. so you get a nice comparison. And then down at the bottom, it takes it times last year's tax rate and comes up with the tax dollars.
And that's the part that you can do this or you cannot do this.
But I would prefer to have something that did do this. Because again, if there's, somebody's got a problem, I'd like to know after I've noticed them, not when they get their tax bill or 2 months after they get their tax bill.
Well, I feel like a lot of people, what they get now, they don't understand it.
No.
So they throw it
They
away.
throw it away, and then when they get the actual tax bill, they understand that pretty quick, and then they're upset.
Mhm.
You know, and I just wish there was a better way for us to communicate it with them and let them know ahead of time, so then they have an option to go in front of the board, you know, because that way they have plenty of time to get a meeting set up with the board or review
Mhm.
downstairs, and they can present their case and let it go from there. You know, because,
With most of those, I mean, if somebody is to find a problem with, if they're remotely timely, they won't even have to see the board of review, correct?
Well, I think at some point Gary has the power to issue the CEs, he just chooses to put that power in the hands of the board.
Well, at some point in
Am I-
time, it's a
No,
liability.
No, the only power I have is issue a CE. I do not have the power to approve it. That is not my statutory power.
Okay, so that's
Yeah.
what
once-
I
That's- I
thought
mean,
your
that's-
power was.
Basically, once Gary finishes his supervisor level
I'm
and
done.
turns over to the board, everything, the board has to sign for everything after that point.
I have no power. I'm just the clerk for the board of review.
Mhm.
I don't remember that quote there.
Well, I don't, I mean, for that tax cycle,
All right,
for that tax cycle.
hey, quote that. Gary Hams has no power. Exactly.
Once I sign the books over to the county clerk, I don't have any statutory authority for that tax year.
Patrick, Gary.
Okay. So again, that's just one of the options in the system. And that's, you know, the more information you can give the public, usually the better off we all are.
Yeah, will they be able to go online and look at this too?
That
If
was
we
in the
do.
numbers that I gave you, if you did that.
An assessment notice is something you can get online, so if they lost theirs, if they wanna pull it back up. We have different flags where you can say, do I allow them to reprint a tax bill? Do I allow them to reprint assessment?
And they
notice?
can, you know,
Assessment notice is out
and
there.
if Jeff, or if I wanted to go in and look at Jeff's risk assessments, I could just go in and look at all his as well.
They're all in the paper now, but this,
It's all public.
It's all
information.
public
There are some
information.
things you can set on there, like, do I wanna allow them to search by name? And you can allow them to search by name and look up their neighbor's property by name, or you can say, no, they gotta have a parcel number.
Or a
We have a
street
parcel.
address.
So
And
then
if
they
you have
call
that
the office and get the
information-
parcel number and then go
yeah,
on.
I don't know
Yeah,
why
get
you would
up and
limit that, in my personal opinion, because then that's gonna,
Well, people limited it 10 years ago before the or 15 years ago before the internet. I mean, quite frankly, you type in somebody's name, you get their life story
Oh, yeah.
nowadays. So, you know, being able to search a website, in your county for somebody's particular name,
it's out there.
it's out there anyhow.
Find it one way or another.
However, judges and some other people associated with the courts do have the option to have their names redacted from anything that's available for the public to see. And what we do is we flag those names, and on the system, when it goes up to the website, their name's gone.
So if somebody's
you can find
something, it'll come down everybody's name, and then these names will be gone, so, and then it'll go down.
It actually displays something like
Confidential, I think.
confidential or.
So that kind of automatically will throw a flag as to,
Maybe
Well,
it's
Yeah.
out there.
yeah, well,
It came recently with like those judges that got hunted down at their homes, so they looked up these judges, somebody was mad at this judge, looked up, found his home address, went and shot him in his home. So it's for stuff like that,
Really, I
a
don't know,
little
that's
better,
just a
but
little
again,
bit
you
of
can
a
find it
inconvenience, I mean, if
somewhere.
I'm gonna shoot you,
right,
I think I'll be able to
Find
find
you.
you.
yeah.
but it did come out of statute.
Well, you
so-
just
but
go
it-
right to the door on the back that says courtroom personnel only, and you wait for them, and then you shoot them.
Yeah.
when they come out of the.
I gotta tell you,
Boy, I
thanks for
don't
your
know, man,
suggestion,
you
maybe
don't
I'll
think
get
about
my-
this
Well,
stuff.
no, and my ex-husband is the one who brought that up. He's like, dang, I really don't want you going out a door that says courtroom personnel. Somebody's gonna shoot somebody,
Yeah.
where are they gonna go? To the door that says courtroom personnel.
So, when you're talking about a web-based, list of all the reassessments, by law, can we quit printing them then?
No.
That saves money, you know, somebody over here
It's
probably driving a new Lexus out there.
But you know, that legislation they have decreased the fee, I think, in
Well-
years. But I just don't think you're gonna get past.
Are you doing a 3-column or a 4-column, Gary?
His are going in 4 columns.
Okay, statutes allow you to go down to 3,
Okay.
which saves you 40 cents a line item.
That's how much he's paying 45? No, I'd have to look.
Oh, you're only paying 45 a line?
We're getting a good deal, but
I gotta tell you-
my problem is I reassessed a lot of properties, and that's what's caused this higher,
Yeah.
you know, than in the
I tell you,
past.
you guys are getting a hell of a deal, because the statutes say the newspapers can charge you 40 cents per column, per line.
Don't be saying that too loud, she might go back.
I went back and read the law in detail. I've asked my legal counsel. We are doing everything
We appreciate it.
as we're supposed to be doing.
You say they can, not they're forced to.
Right.
So, I mean, they could charge less.
How about they can go up to
No.
that amount?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But there has been some counties that have tried just to publish online and got themselves in a lot of trouble real fast.
Well, let's talk about cost, I guess. I mean, let's
Well,
bottom
aren't
line.
you
Pretty well
at,
covered cost.
I think
Oh,
you're
okay.
pretty much at 14,000 top or
With-
12,000?
With the web, yeah.
With the bells and whistles.
Yeah.
So if you do the multi-year, which is 3 or 5, the conversion's covered in that. If you do a single year, typically people don't, just because, you know, it requires a lot of work and everything, just to transition systems, people don't usually do single years. If you do single year, it's about $1 a parcel, and conversion then is not free. If you do a 3 or 5 year, conversion is covered, and you're 95 cents a parcel.
What are we currently paying here?
That's what I was I'm not even.
Well, the last record I saw, and somebody else can verify this, that I looked at, said we're paying 38,000 a year for our current system.
I don't think it's that high.
Well, I had documents that,
I've done the bills.
Well, you know, I
Is
just
that
don't know off the top
something,
of my head.
how often do we pay that? Is that
that's a
quarterly
yearly,
or-
that's a yearly bill.
Yeah, but you only get one bill. We're not making
Right.
installments, so,
We have in the past, and they've allowed us to.
just 'cause that's all we had.
Do you guys wanna go through more screens and kind of see features of it, or
Well,
just
I think,
talk about it, or ask more questions you have?
you know,
or-
obviously Gary's on board, but Dana, the treasurer, and the county clerk would be more, reserved, so.
Well,
Is
it
there
ain't that we're
things that
not
you
in-
can, is there things that you can show them that would make their life easier? I mean, is there
Ooh,
certain
and all of
things,
them?
you know? Because they've had their hands full
I was
over the
gonna say, I'm
last year.
having flashbacks of how they're
Yeah.
gonna make their life easier.
You know,
Um,
they,
Yeah, everything was gonna be so much
Easier for
but,
you.
Yeah.
I think if you could
Well, let's
talk more.
And
to
I don't
them-
know that we need to be in that meeting.
No, I don't know if we do either,
Okay.
so.
Well, let me do this. What do you do when tax districts come in, Juanita, and say, we're getting ready to levy?
I don't know yet, I'm brand new.
Brand
I've
new,
never
okay.
done the taxes, this will be my first year.
Okay, well, see, no learning curve then.
Good time to switch.
Yeah.
One of the things the system will do is taxing districts come in and say, I'm trying to figure out what my budget needs to be next year. Nobody does what they're supposed to and figure out exactly how much they need. They wanna know what their taxable value is gonna be, so they know how much they can get. Different perspective. The only way they really know how to do that is they ask someone if they have an estimate of what this year's taxable value is. Do you ever provide those numbers, Gary?
I couldn't because I don't have a breakdown of the taxing districts within that taxing
Okay.
body.
With our system, it's a report that prints. It's live time, it goes in, it takes a look at Gary's assessed value, it calculates and makes its adjustments for the exemptions, it takes into account the TIF districts, it takes into account enterprise zones or abatements. So it is, the way to look at it is, when we run that report, it gives that taxing district the number, their taxable value, if we were to close the books the day they asked for it.
Is that like a EAV?
That's the equalized assess, it's the taxable value. Equalized is before exemptions come off, taxable is after exemptions. So it is after the exemptions.
Well, that would make it a little bit more accurate then.
Yeah. What a lot of counties used to do before this is they'd sit there and say, well, last year my equalized value was this much, this year it's this much, that's a 9% increase. Okay, your taxable value is 9% more than it was last year. So it was just flat out
A while.
a guess. Yeah, it was as good as picking a number out of your head.
Ours goes down.
But there's
doesn't
the
it?
P-tax or whatever, so you can't get
P-
nine.
P-tail.
You can
Yeah.
only get-
Oh,
or
you gotta-
P-tail.
We
You
have
can
a
only get
detail,
down,
so,
yeah.
so that's gonna limit, but that's a number that, that will be in the system as well.
Correct. Okay.
Clerk, bonds, you guys have a lot of bonds?
They
Okay.
have some bonds.
We've
All
got a bond
school districts are
schedule.
gonna have bonds. We have, a component where you enter your bonds in one time, and it automatically knows which years they need to be included in. And the reason that's important is when districts file bonds in the clerk's office, this is our experience, they're not required to levy for those bonds from that point forward, because they've officially notified you that for the length of that bond, this is how much you need to tax each year. So what counties do is they have a file that lists this school district and all of its bonds, and every year they pull that folder out and they go down and say, okay, it's 2014, so there's this amount, and put it in the calculator, and there's the next bond's this amount, and put it in the calculator, and it automatically sums it up. Well, guess what? You've got a chance for data entry errors every time that you do that. You're doing it every year, and quite frankly, the clerk has a whole lot of pressure put on her, because extension also always happens right around the April election. And what happens is, they try to get both done, or they sit there and say, April election, sorry, that's gonna take precedence, and then they wait to do the tax stuff till after the election's over.
But so the bonds now, you can define in the system, you set up the amortization schedule, it automatically comes into play, they'll automatically drop off when that bond expires, you don't have to remember, oh, this 20-year bond just expired this year, or look at your files and go and pull that. So that's one of the things for the clerk, will be another thing we can talk about for the clerk.
When you take subpayments, Dana, in your office, can you describe the process that you currently do?
I can't describe it that much because Judy's the one that does it, but I just know she goes in, puts her figures in the computer, and then there's something she has to take over to you.
Yeah, then I have to enter them into mine.
Okay.
And that's it.
Okay,
It's not a big process, it's a small one, but
okay, but again,
a process.
in our system, when you come in to take your subsequent payments, the system actually does three things for you. It sits there and you put in the tax buyer, it automatically goes out and brings up every parcel that that buyer has purchased that is still in an open status, that still has taxes due this year. The tax buyers don't know if somebody has come in and made payments on their parcel. They are only aware that I haven't been paid back, it hasn't been redeemed. So what they do is they send a list in that might have 50 parcels on it. only 35 of those are still valid to have subsequents done to them. We bring it up, it displays those 35. We push one button, it tells you that I'm gonna apply the subsequents to all these 35. It generates a receipt for the tax buyer, it'll generate a receipt for the county clerk. And when the receipt's delivered to the county clerk, all they have to do is update the paper copy that a subtax was paid. The computer system automatically updates itself that those parcels have been purchased as a subtax. Okay? And that's real important, especially the part where it does its checks to make sure that it's still valid. We have seen counties where that list would come into the treasurer's office. The very first thing they do is send it down to the clerk's office. Well, sorry, the treasurer checks it to make sure there's still taxes due. Then they send the piece of paper down to the clerk, so the clerk can make sure that those parcels haven't been redeemed. And then the payment entries have to be made. Ours does it all in one step.
That should definitely save some time.
We think so.
Do you have some clerk and treasurer reports printed out?
I do have some sample reports for each of the offices. They're not in any particular order, but just a list of
Sure, you want to
some
get
of
that
the
mic?
information you can see.
Maybe he's done now. Thank you.
We can have a few treasurer things too. Yeah,
Sure.
we can have a few, treasurer things in the system.
Okay. Do you sell your mobile homes, Dana?
Yeah.
Oh, you do? Okay. Do you do it as a combined sale or a separate sale?
Well, separate sale, same day,
Same day?
all home in the morning and
One right
state
after
in
the
the
other?
afternoon.
Okay. How do you flag your parcels that are in bankruptcy right now? Okay, that is a problem. Parcels that are in bankruptcy, we're not allowed to publish them in the paper, we're not allowed to sell them at the tax sale
Because they're protected.
because they're protected. Okay, we can still ring up taxes, but we can't force them to pay it. What we do in our system is we actually have a bankruptcy file where it allows you to put in the bankruptcy, the case number, the date it was filed, and once it's been released, the date it's released.
Who does that? What office would do it?
That's the treasurer's office.
Is that how it normally works now? I mean, you know when
No,
someone goes,
I mean,
Well,
according to.
you would get a
I
notice
would
that
get
they're
the
in bankruptcy.
foreclosure to record.
Well, it wouldn't necessarily be a foreclosure though.
No.
Would you get a bankruptcy?
No,
See,
no.
I don't know that anybody in the courthouse would
We
get a
don't get
bankruptcy
bankruptcies
notice.
or anything.
Yeah, we do get a
One way
notice.
I
We get a
know to
notice from the
reassess is I read it in the paper.
If they list it.
so how does, I mean, I just don't know. I mean, how does that work? I mean,
I mean,
How
we
do-
haven't had one since I've been, matter of fact, well, we just got one,
I mean, so you're saying when someone
last
files
week.
for bankruptcy, a notice goes to your county treasurer? Is that what you're saying? I mean, I don't know.
I'm saying that the bankruptcy attorneys are supposed to file it
Oh, I would
with
say
the
so.
county
They do.
treasurer.
We have,
Okay.
Sharon said, or this goes back to Sharon before I was even, that bankruptcy does not knock out
They're what?
taxes.
What
Yeah.
now? I don't
Sharon said that bankruptcy does not, taxes are not wiped out by bankruptcy.
What he's saying
You
though
might
is-
get a stay from a judge that says you're not gonna sell it on a tax sale. though.
Yeah.
Right.
It'll still have
Yes.
a lien against that property.
It basically becomes a lien, In our system, we treat it as forfeited taxes.
Because these people, since they filed for bankruptcy, they can't be harassed or something, is that what it is?
Correct.
So that's why you can't put the notice out there and stuff like that, but it eventually is gonna have to be paid.
That is correct.
You'd either buy,
By them, by a new buyer, by
Yeah.
somebody, in order to get the deed clear.
That is correct.
Right.
Mhm.
understand.
Okay, but what's nice is once you flag them in the system, when you go to print your judgment book for the permanent record, the system does print on each of the parcels that were in bankruptcy that that's the reason they didn't sell. So we have a little comment that comes up and says in bankruptcy.
And then there's also a flag that comes up on that main parcel screen, that common parcel screen that everybody uses, that'll say if it's bankrupt.
Yeah. John?
How about a foreclosure?
Well, she would get notice of that though,
I get notices for foreclosure.
Mhm.
and it can still be it can go on a tax sale, correct?
Yeah.
Yes, once
Matter of
it's
fact,
been foreclosed.
You would think the finance company would want it to be tax sold.
Mhm.
They're still gonna have second lien, whoever buys the taxes, correct?
Yep,
Well, there used to be, like City National Bank, up until last year, they would come in and pay
They'd
the
redeem their-
taxes.
yeah.
They would pay them before they went to the tax sale or anything like that, but they must have found some loophole around it that Ventura found a year or two previous. City National just started a couple, but most places will still pay taxes for a foreclosure.
okay. In the treasurer's office, what do you do with forfeited taxes currently?
I'm not aware that we have any, or any of them been brought to my attention as being forfeited.
Okay.
Ever since I've worked there in 15 years, even before I was the treasurer.
You had a trustee that whole time.
Yeah, we've always
Okay.
been trustee.
The reason I'm asking is because if I sell a property this year, the tax sale buyer does have the option to come in and do a sale in error. He decides he doesn't want the property,
Yeah, we
okay? At that point, the treasurer is required to refund him his money, and depending on the type of sale in error, give him a little bit of extra interest also. And once a sale in error is done on a parcel, it flips those taxes that are now no longer paid to a forfeited status. What that means is that in our system, when it comes to the tax sale, that forfeited tax is automatically gonna roll into this year's taxes. So you're gonna sell this year's taxes and those prior taxes at one time
Just try to get your money
Ask
back.
Judy how
to
she
get your money back.
handles it, cause I don't know of ever, having that happen. But Judy does a lot of that in my office without, because like I said, before I was treasurer, I was just,
Yeah.
employee, so she does the same thing she did long before now, and
Okay. Let's see, we talked about, this is a. The system also allows us to do partial collections. Currently, Dana, if somebody comes into you and says, I've only got $100, do you take the money?
very rare, very rare.
Okay. If somebody comes in and says, I forgot to include the interest, so I'm $50 short, what do you do with that?
We go ahead and collect, their basic payment, and then we give them there's a late notice for the interest, and we just keep those. We might have, like now, if we get them in the mail, somebody pays and they pay the base amount, why they think 4 months after the tax bill goes out and they mail it in, they still owe the same as they would have 4 months ago is beside me, but, we send out a letter that has, your taxes are this amount, your interest is this, therefore, forward us, the interest due. We send that letter out and we keep them. We might have 50.
Okay,
You know, if somebody comes in the counter the same way, well, I don't have my interest money, we'll go ahead and take their base amount, we'll give them the interest letter, and then they send it
okay.
in.
We have two different ways that we can handle that in our system. We allow partial payments in the system. The advantage is, you have people in December probably come in and wanna try to prepay their taxes.
Mhm.
Do you allow them to do that? No.
Prepaid.
Who
Okay.
would do such a thing?
You know, there are some treasurers that sit there and say, well, if they wanna give me my money, I'll take it now.
No, but who would wanna prepay?
Tax
Somebody,
purposes, maybe?
somebody who wants to write off property taxes and get 2 years worth in 1 year.
And banks that have escrow accounts will do it every year, even though they know we can't accept it until after
The bill
the bill goes out.
Okay, so in our system, we actually do allow you to do that. And when the bill goes out, it'll show the amount of money that has been received and appropriately adjust the first and or the second payment. Okay,
The problem with taking partial payments is when they come in and say, I've got 200 this week and 400 next week, well, their tax bill is 2 installments of $250, say, well, when it comes time for the tax sale and they don't have enough to complete their second installment, then you gotta refund the first, you know, refund the money they,
why?
I mean, why would you wanna sit there and hang on to it when
No,
you can't?
I mean, why refund it? Sell for what's left. That-
Either way, the county's getting their money, you know,
Yeah. See, now,
I suppose you can, but I just think that it's a lot of trouble.
Okay.
Even computerized or not computerized, well, I got so-and-so's 250 and I got this one's 100 and this one, I don't think it's a practice we should even start.
okay,
But, I mean,
Wha-
it's great that your
okay.
computer offers it.
Could you take, you're not gonna know the complete amount, say, the last week of December.
Like
Could
the
you,
year before?
Ye- it's because the tax bill's not out yet, we're always paying a year behind, or
Right.
8 months behind. Could you, is it a good idea to take 90% of the previous tax year's bill? I'm trying to save some income tax money. Farmers,
Yeah, sure.
is it too late for this year? For you to do that? It's too
oh
late.
yeah, I know,
Yeah, okay.
but, I mean, every year, when I asked you that question, I knew who you were gonna say, you just didn't say it. Farmers run around the last week of December and try to,
Dump.
Huh?
Try to dump money,
well, you try to manage your income tax burden.
okay,
Yeah.
okay.
But anyhow, that's, I guess I'm trying to figure out what is if we're gonna help our farmers, if we can.
But after you
What
do
is
that
an
first,
original
after
amount?
you do that first time, then it's gonna be the same. You know, it's-
Not necessarily, next year I may not have that much crop to sell. It's a wild world we live in, buddy.
Yeah. Now, one thing we do give you the option in our system is when you take a payment, by default, our system credits the interest that's due, then it credits any fees, and then it applies the balance to the taxes.
That's the
Okay.
direction it should go.
That's our philosophy also, is that if I'm gonna sell something at the tax sale, I really want it to be taxes, I don't want it to be interest, cause that's gonna make me feel guilty later on.
I don't know, I was just asking.
Yeah. Now,
I mean, I don't have a preference, you know, either way. So at the end of the tax sale, the county has all the money they're due. You know, regardless if we took John Brown's $100 and it's still hanging out there, that,
well, the problem is with the way you're doing it now, Dana, at the end, if I've got 15 people that owe me $75 apiece in late payment interest, how are you recording that for your auditors? Cause that's an expense that's due to you, where the interest goes directly to the county.
have the list, Judy has a list of
Okay,
what's owed, but,
okay. No, everybody does it differently. And, you know, that's one of the things, the system has the flexibility to handle that for you.
Alright, what else do we look at here, treasurer?
Let me see, do you guys have in lieu of taxes,
Judy does, yes,
Judy? Nursing home or state of Illinois?
state of Illinois.
State of Illinois, okay. In lieu of taxes, terms the board's probably not familiar with. Basically, it's money that comes in that is not levied against. It's like free money. Okay? And usually it's U of I owns, has been deeded X number of acres, but the people wanted to make sure the school districts were taken care of, so X percentage of the income gets sent into taxes for the county. So we have that as what we call an in lieu of, and it's just a straight payment. Usually the properties are tax exempt that it's applied to.
Would ours be, you're talking about the Department of Natural Resources, correct?
I believe that's.
You might
what it
have
was.
Department of Natural Resources also.
State.
Okay. Disbursements, do you do paper checks? Do you do ACHs?
This'll be the first, yeah, just paper checks, Judy prints them off.
Okay.
Manatron system is capable of doing it, but our bookkeeping system is also probably gonna trump this, you know, our real estate program, so, yeah, we do computerized checks now.
Okay. Our system allows you to do either method, or a mix and match of methods. So again, it's just a setup of the configuration, if you want.
It all has to go through our bookkeeping system, so,
Okay.
you know, that configure it, that'd be just fine, but Judy's, you know, gonna generate the checks out of the, CSC program.
Certificate of error. You know, we talked about that real briefly. This is what the screen looks like up here, if you can see it. Basically, you enter a parcel number, and then you just click on what's changing. So you've got new assessments, you have new tax codes, new property use, exemptions or drainage districts. Do you put drainage districts on your tax bill?
Not on the bill, no.
Not on the bill? Do you send them out as separate?
They do,
They send them out
Cash
themselves.
River sends them out themselves.
Okay. Have you ever thought about offering to have them included on the tax bill?
No, let them take care of it.
What are there, I mean, there's not, how many are
The
there?
tax bills,
Yeah, there's
I'm not sure, but
I don't even know if
she
it's
got enough
20.
headache, them boys can take care of themselves.
No.
Okay. The only reason that I'm asking is because it makes Gary's life a little bit easier. Because currently with
Wow.
farmland, you're supposed to make an adjustment for the drainage tax that people pay.
Really? And do you do that?
I'm not gonna respond until I investigate.
That's the first I'd ever heard of that.
I need to investigate it.
Okay? Wow, sorry.
That's all right.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's, if we send it out, it makes it a little easier, but the system can handle it if they build their own also.
We'll just let them take care of it for now.
Okay?
They're doing a fine job at it.
Okay, system allows you to generate refund checks. People overpay, we do a certificate of error, come in and it just prints checks out for you.
Would you
Wanna
continue
make
doing
one
that
else?
for bookkeeping?
That would go through bookkeeping also.
Okay.
I mean, I'm sure she would have to generate the report in order to
Sure,
see what the checks needed to be issued, then she'd go over and write it in the bookkeeping.
okay, good enough. Reports, It seems like there's hundreds of reports. District fees, at any time, you can get a report of all of your forfeited parcels. Again, in your case, they'd be sale and errors, or the ones that have been flagged in bankruptcy. Some reports, tax sale, looks pretty complicated, but 80% of those steps are push a button and they're done in 5 minutes. We do allow you to send out notices if you desire as a proof to the tax buyers of the parcels they purchased and the percentage that they were purchased at. Let's see.
I was just gonna interrupt. Two of these people, they have to be back here at 1:15 for a conference call.
Okay.
And I'm one, there's actually three of us, so if we can kind of wrap it up, because we won't have to go either that,
Sure.
or we can meet back with you later. Because they need to eat lunch and get back here by 1:15.
Okay. Well, again, are there any other questions?
Yeah.
I don't know, do you have, you know, like, your price and what that includes? Do you have like
One printout or.
a printout or?
He's got you
Yeah, but those, like you said, them are 13 numbers, you have to look at the exact parcels currently, right?
Right.
But if you can get that information to us or give it to Gary.
What I basically mean is apples. I wanna make sure we're comparing apples to apples, you know, I've, like, you know, Jason said, we're a little gun shy of any new conversions and all that. Not, you know, that we're against them, we're just
What did you guys convert recently?
our bookkeeping.
About 60% of what we're supposed to do.
Yeah, we're still waiting on another 40% to come through, but, I don't know, but it's a company called CIC.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, it was just a change on the staffing and, you know, changes are hard for people and they're trying to get more accustomed to it. And we got some software issues that we're trying to get through, so that's actually who we had a conference call today with.
One thing to
again.
keep in mind too here is that we're always a year behind, so I'm gonna have it for 1 year, so it would be 2 years out.
That's right.
So always
I
keep
forgot
that in
about
mind as well.
Yeah.
Well, I think what we're getting, maybe sales pitches ain't always what they're cracked up to be once you
All I
get
know is,
into-
Dana, I've been in
into-
56 counties, and I've seen DevNet, I've seen Fike Fike, and I've seen Manatron, plus I'm using Manatron, and I can tell you this system stinks. I mean, I'm sorry.
That's, and that is
I
also,
mean, that's
you're
my
entitled to
opinion.
that opinion, and that's, it
but I
stinks
can
for
tell
your
you-
office.
Well, it
Where,
does.
you know, I
But
don't,
we're not having
we
any
don't,
problems.
I've never had any
No,
problem,
we've never
you
had
know.
any problems.
And again, but I am having a problem, and if I can't generate a report to you, what good is it? What good is our system? Because if I can't get an abstract approved by the Department of Revenue, you don't have to worry about
Well, how did,
extensions.
how did previous assessors get an
Right.
abstract?
Well, I don't know,
And that
how
as
do you,
far
how do you,
as-
how do you develop an abstract that doesn't add up and gives you totals that don't
Well,
add up?
that's why I'm wondering, you know, what part is operator error, or
Well,
what part is
again, I mean,
Manatron?
DOS is a very old program, I mean, I don't know when DOS, 1980?
Well, Windows come out probably in late 80s, I'm not sure,
I mean, when did Windows come out,
late 80s.
you know?
I mean,
All I can tell you is from my standpoint, and again, if I don't produce an abstract, it ain't, you know, it ain't gonna matter.
Just leave it
But,
I'm
I
not,
mean,
I'm
how
not trying
did-
to scare him, I'm just telling you facts.
Yeah.
Well, I'm just asking how we got abstracts done before you came,
Well,
is
I
what I'm
don't-
asking.
I
mean,
I have no, well, apparently,
I'm
maybe
not sure
somebody
there-
didn't do the amount of changes I did in the system.
Well,
I have
I'm
a
just
suspicion
asking.
that could be it. I'm just guessing.
I mean, all of a sudden, we can't get an
Does
I mean,
this-
abstract.
I
but
made
we got
5,000
them.
changes
Correct.
It was
last
lots
year,
more.
I believe, is what they published.
You know, I mean, Tammy just didn't, you know, I don't know if this didn't have the resources or what, but I mean, we had that kid, what's his name, worked down there.
Ron Sharon,
No, I can't think of his name now.
It don't matter.
Oh,
But anyway,
yeah. But we just weren't getting much done.
no.
I think we all can agree Gary's got a lot more assessing done since.
Oh, I mean, I
Yeah,
agree
I mean,
with
there's
that.
tons, you know.
But
And
I'm
like I
also
said, the
just
more I'm in
saying-
that system making changes, the more things that go wrong, and I'm, like I said, we're gonna make human errors. But like I said, I just know that, you know, I'm sitting there trying to get it figured out with the Department of Revenue and trying to get it figured out with Robin, and we're going back and forth, and it's 3 months into the process, that's a problem. And like I said, the department was very reluctant to approve that last one. I mean, that's all I can tell you is I had to fight tooth and nail to get it approved.
Well, that's what I was told, in your office, that, the
I mean,
Illinois
we had to
Department of
actually-
Revenue says,
we had to
oh,
actually-
you have Manatron, I felt sorry for you.
Yeah,
But
they
then I
actually-
have one of, somebody who was even fired from Manatron still sings their praises when it comes. He said he was at a meeting where they stood up and had nothing but,
And that's fine, but all I can tell you is from my standpoint and what I'm working with, I gotta have a system that I can understand and work with.
Hey, we're gonna agree to disagree at this moment.
Okay.
We're gonna move on, so. It's nice to meet
I
you.
ain't saying I ain't open-minded, I'm just saying we gotta look at all of this.
I totally agree, but then, like I said, I go all over the state, so I hear all kinds of stuff, we all hear things.
We're gonna meet back at 1:15 at the state attorney's office.
I know, but are you adjourning?
Let's agree on that tonight. For next meeting. When we gonna vote on that?
Oh, I don't know, I think that we'll probably get some other people in here that has other, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm sure that.
Information overload.
I think, Juanita left us a copy of her budget. I got it, I don't know if y'all got a copy of it or not. I'll be passing around there, sorry. Let everybody get a copy of it.
Just one difference, isn't it?
Yeah, which, last week we discussed it a little bit. We had that part-time, I think, at 10, and the other number lowered to, say, 69, I think. I don't have it in front of me.
About
And, Jeff wanted an opportunity to look into, ask some questions, I believe, so we'll give him a chance to do that, and today we was
You
gonna.
get a chance to look into it, Jeff?
A little bit.
We're back on it.
This is the original thing we had, isn't it? Your
No,
original.
that's.
Is this an updated request?
That's updated from, I don't know what John turned in, I did not see it. But
Oh,
that's
I
the
thought you
amount.
filled this out.
No,
Okay.
John was still county clerk.
So is this not what we had with our,
No, you all had 69 for deputies and 10,000 for part-time.
Yeah, but I think the rest of it's identical.
Yeah, the rest of it's identical.
But, I mean, you can double check, but I think, I'm pretty sure.
Nothing else has changed.
So,
okay. Do you happen to know what year, Lynn started?
No, it was way before John, he started in 1991,
So she's been here late 80s maybe?
80, seems like 86 maybe.
Well, anyhow, that's irrelevant, I was just curious. Polk County has one clerk and one deputy clerk.
Yep, they're really little.
Yeah, so that's really not apples to oranges. I did not get a hold of, Pulaski counties.
They have
They-
three,
Three
they
deputies.
have three deputies.
Okay. Do you happen to know what their pay scale is?
No, I do not.
Okay, what the,
But now the pay scale is what you all approved for the union. We go by the union pay scale, even though we're not union. That was the agreement years ago when they went union.
okay. So, the, I don't, Johnson County has, they have three, well, I don't know if they call them deputy clerks or what. But, according to what they're doing is the lady, I did not talk to the clerk. They start off at minimum wage and then they get a 3% raise every year.
So they, what is minimum, 10.50 or still 8.25?
I don't really, I think it's 8.25, but that, I don't know that, they might have changed that, I don't know.
I don't know. I don't think so, not yet.
Quinn didn't get that done?
No.
Does anybody have a 14 budget? Jason, you got one?
no, I don't have it.
I've got some,
drawer of them.
yeah, I think I'll get two. I may have it here.
Is that on it?
We tried taking this one for you.
That's not ours.
Yeah, I know, but the gentleman with you grabbed that one a while ago.
Oh, he
We
did.
was
Oh,
just kidding.
Sure wish you got them.
Take us out to lunch.
They'd have done it, but
You
they
know we would've got a good meal out of that.
down again.
Okay. 14 budget was 61,000.
But we had 2 deputies is all.
You're what?
Water bottle? No. We did grab it. I won't come back in.
Oh, you're fine.
So what, are you guys wanting to get rid of this 10,000, or what's your thoughts on that? According to Patrick, that's a no-no.
I think what we originally did is we took, we put 10,000 into part-time,
Yeah, thinking that
Yeah,
we
and-
would reevaluate.
and then we reduced the deputy salary down. We was gonna we discussed reevaluating in April or May. And then, after, discussion, we felt like that, the employee's doing a good job. Juanita's under a new position, has a lot to learn, and I made I mentioned a few weeks ago that I'm fine with, doing what was originally presented by, I guess, John. And then, in the budget, and do away with that part-time and just have her, the staff that she currently has for this year, and go with that. And then after that, when we can agree on that, then we'll make a motion to, post the budget, for 15 days, and then we can take it from there.
Budget, other budget thing.
Yeah.
So do you guys,
Everything's done. So-
yeah, do you have a plan to explain to the rest of these people that are gonna come in here wanting their budget raised?
Who's gonna ask for their budget to be raised?
I
I've
don't
talked
know.
to everybody, I have talked to everybody, they said I need those girls, and they're all for me.
Well, but my question would be, who feels like they're understaffed, or who's gonna be asking for more money?
Well, I can't tell you that any of them do, but, if you go from 61,551, which was the 2014 budget,
Right.
For 2 deputies.
let's see.
Which, we all know that, before John retired, he hired, what's the lady's name?
Cheryl.
Cheryl. And, which, he's been working shorthanded. When I first hired in, or first got elected as commissioner, he had, a lady that worked with him for a while, then she left. I forget what her last name was.
Sandy?
No,
No,
it was
Tina.
Tina,
Oh, Toxton.
Toxton.
Yeah.
And then at that point, John, and, that was back when things were a lot tighter on us, when we was having layoffs and stuff like that. John chose at that time not to hire nobody and work it himself. And, they've been kind of behind ever since. And I think John made that decision to, hire, the lady he hired before he retired, because he knew that they needed to get the staffing back up to where it used to be. And that's where,
It could very well be, but I think, I mean,
I'm not saying, go ahead.
don't be surprised if other office holders don't want their budgets increased 30%. And be mindful that taxpayers are paying the bill. I'm not saying, you may not have any taxpayers throw a fit about somebody's budget going up 30%.
I think when you say 30%, yeah, obviously it is 30% by the numbers, but that's kind of misleading in a way.
Not to say numbers don't lie.
Well,
How's it misleading?
it's misleading because I feel like you had a office holder that was in that position for, 15 years? I don't know how long. 20 years.
20 plus.
That knew how to run that office, and I think, always looked out and tried to, when he lost that person, he just tried to put more time in, and he could do multiple things, where I feel like in this position we're in, the new office holder, we need to have the staff back to where it was previously, even when John was here, and I don't think, I think we're just getting it back up to where it was at. I don't think that we're going overboard with it. We can reevaluate it next year, when we do the budget.
you're not gonna hurt my feelings one way or another, make this decision you wanna make, but, a 30% increase is, if I was a taxpayer, I would be asking some questions.
I understand.
And that's just,
I'll be happy to
And if-
answer that if they ask me.
and if I was the sheriff, I would ask, you know, here, correct me if I'm wrong, but within the last 5 years, haven't they lowered their manpower?
No, we've got just as many as we did.
So-
I'm the one that got the paychecks. They haven't lowered their manpower. And two, we're not getting a raise, me, the sheriff, and Dana, take that money and,
Well, you didn't, so you're not making more money than you was when you was deputy clerk?
yeah, but you all put a freeze on the sheriff and Dana and me for the next 4 years. Oh, and by the way, I'm getting a grant, by the way, that hasn't been filed since 2010 for 19,000 plus.
That's good. Congratulations. What's that grant for? What can you use it for?
Voter registration, unfortunately.
Okay, well, that's
But
money that
that's
saves
money
us.
that will save us money.
Equipment, you mean?
Yes.
Well, I mean, do what you wanna do, fellas, here. If you wanna up to 30%, that's.
Well, I understand you're saying
Own it.
30%. I don't look at it as 30%. I look at it as we're getting staffing back up to where it was at. And I understand that. by
Well,
numbers
like I
is-
said, I mean, I'm not, well, I won't even say, okay, I will say it. Liars can figure, but figures don't lie. You ever heard that?
Mhm.
I'm not, nobody's lying in here. It's just a matter of a figure of speech. But if you take 61,551 times 1.3, you get $80,016.
Okay.
So you're raising it almost 30%. So, I mean, take it and run with it, whatever you wanna do.
All right, well, in my opinion, we're gonna go with it. Gerald, how do you feel?
Well, her being a CPA, which I didn't know, till, did you say she was?
She's got an associate degree in accounting.
She's not a certified
No,
public
she's not a
accountant.
certified public accountant, but she is,
She
she
had
does
2
have a
years of
degree in,
schooling. Is that
she's
what
had
that
2.
is? Yeah,
She's got an
so
associate.
it may be an asset,
So,
so, yeah, I'll vote for that.
okay. I don't think it's something we really gotta vote on.
No, it's just posting the budget.
Yeah. All right. Well, we do need a motion to post the budget for 15 days to let the public review. And after that, we'll vote on it and go from there. So I get a motion for that.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
All right, all agree, say aye.
Aye.
All right, that's that.
Anything else?
I think that's it, Jeff.
You all better be hustling.
I know, I told Gerald we're gonna talk to CIC at 1:15, but if I hear anything or any report, I'll let you know.
I know I had one. Did anybody put Taylor down? Did John Taylor on that?
No, not currently.
He would be good, I would think.
I mean, I can say the names, what we currently have. Now, like I said, this is.
Yeah, I read it.
I haven't personally talked to any of you. Tom Poole, Mike Sowers, Jim Hammer, David Donnery, Cheryl Vanderford, Don Smith, Five Wheels, Roland Burnett, Richard Kruger, Sue Barfield, Steve Cordy, Jerry Cordy, Chad Nally, Sam Troutmeyer, Harvey McGee, Greg Stamina, Brandon Phillips.
Stan.
Stan. Brandon Phillips, LaFonz, Henley, John Taylor. I mean, we need to kind of, and there might be some other names.
How many did you figure, 10 or?
Well, I don't know, probably I'd say, I don't know, whatever you all want, I mean, not 8, 9, 10, and then I think we need to get the office holders on there too, if they want to be. And then they'll come back down, do another presentation for this group, and then let them pick apart what they want. And then if they come up with other ideas that they feel like we haven't even looked into yet, bring that company back down and present that, and try to let this group of people help guide us on what we wanna do. Is that the direction we wanna go in?
Will give us guidance on what they wanna do. It is their money.
Well, right,
Yeah.
yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But, let them help us and, we all all work together
I
on it.
think it's a good idea.
Yeah, so, okay.
Did everybody get a copy of that, that Dana gave me?
I don't know where she.
Like the top 3 pages?
Yeah, I got a copy of that.
Did you get one, Cheryl?
What is it?
We went over it one day.
Yeah.
It had all the top taxpayers in there,
Yeah,
as
there
far
is.
as the.
Yeah, I've got one.
Okay, I couldn't remember.
I got it at home. You got one?
Somewhere I do.
I got it.
Yeah.
All right, let's make a motion to adjourn.
She's probably got us adjourned already.
All right, we are adjourned.
All in favor, aye.
See you.